What is up, everybody? Yep, I heard they copied the bind system from FGO, which I'm so confused about. Why would anybody do that? I don't mind the bind system if you have a normal account system as well, but of all the things to copy from FGO, that's not the one. That's so not the one. Anyway, so I haven't played this game at all. I did the tutorial, but I skipped it. Because you can click a button and just skip the entire tutorial, which I didn't even know that's what it was because it was Japanese. But so I haven't done a damn thing other than the tutorial summon. So I don't know anything about the gameplay or anything, so we'll have to figure this out as we go. It'll be great. Okay, well, gonna be a lot of trial and error here with the UI and everything. I'm assuming this right here is SQ. So if this game is any good, and hold on, let me change my volume a little bit. If this game's any good, I'll obviously do what I always do and stockpile my SQ for ages until I want to roll in something. But I'll do some rolling early on just because I don't know if I'm gonna play the game or not anyway, so. I'm guessing this is summon. What's the difference? Is it just the craft essences that are different? I don't even know. I'm assuming this is FP summon right here, essentially anyway. One of them's a GSSR? Ah, I see. So one of them is, you know, pay to buy one roll, and that's nice of them. Although I guess if you got I got Rachel there, I'd be pissed. Which one of these is which? Because I can't do the GSSR because I'm assuming you have to buy the SQ. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's really rare to know that I'm a BlazBlue fan. The music is all over my soundtrack and in my videos, and I talk about it all the time. And there's a fucking BlazBlue character on my standby screen. Well, I guess I'm guessing this one I can't do, so this is probably the GSSR. Alright, well, let's do A10 summon and see what happens. I don't think Hazuma, Terumi, or Susanoo is in the game yet, so feels bad. I don't know who that is. I'm guessing these are CEs. That the top is Grimoire or whatever. Oh yeah, I got that guy in my tutorial summon. He looks pretty cool. You know, big guy, he's green. It's, I'll take it. I don't know what you do with dupes though. I don't know who that is either. Got a green vial though, so that's the best one. Yeah, I like the big green guy. We'll be using him. Oops. Yikes. Not a fan of Platinum. Or, oh, I'm sorry, that's Trinity. Totally different. I guess she is better than Platinum though. That's a look. It'd be a lot better if it wasn't for the head thing. That's really weird. How do you see in that? That's like some Power Rangers. That's a Power Rangers villain. That's what that is. Okay, Okay, CE. I wish I could read the CE effects because, you know, that can be really handy. And I don't think this game's gonna have nearly the following that FGO does, so it's gonna be harder to get translations for these things. That's a... Can't get Susanoo in the game, but got that though. Basically the same thing. Okay, so... I really do want to know what you do with dupes of characters, like if it matters a lot or not. Alright, let's see here. Dupes are used to ascend them. It matters a lot. Interesting. For all characters. You need 17 dupes to unlock their NP. I'm not kidding. What? Oh, you mean for the low rarity ones. That's kind of annoying. I mean, in the long run, I'm sure you'll get it, but that's really lame in the beginning because you want to see their NP, you know, that's kind of fucked up. So for low rarities, you need 17 dupes to get that. Why though? You can farm the dupe shards and ascend them easy, so the higher rarity people can do it easier. Okay, that's great. What the fuck? That's so backwards. I'm always saying, man, it's easy to forget how nice FGO is when it comes to the free-to-play stuff, because not only are the low-star characters good, but they are the easiest characters to NP5 and all this stuff. Okay, let's see here. I guess this is characters. So I want to. I think you can only bring 4 people. So this the left is the front row, right is the back row. Let me see here. How do I unequip? There we go. Yeah, I got Jin in the tutorial summon, so that was nice. I think you have to get a one of a few 5 stars in the tutorial summon. Apparently though, you can re-roll the tutorial summon as many times as you want to get whatever side characters you want, which I did not know that, so I didn't, but that's kind of interesting. So, the lower ranked people cannot do their distortions until you get them to SS, so you need 7 dupes for that. Yeah, I'm guessing distortion is like your regular super, because that's what it is in the video games, and astral finish is your big fancy thing. I'm actually guessing your astral finish isn't that important for some characters, Finn, but we'll see. I would normally say, if you wanted to get into BlazBlue, the best place to start is Continuum Shift Extend, because it has like a condensed version of the original story, and it's more palatable. And then the Continuum Shift story is really the bulk of the BlazBlue story, and I think it's the best one. So Continuum Shift Extended, I think it's definitely the best place to start for story stuff, anyway. All right, are you allowed to solo in this game? Let's see. Can you just bring one person? It looks like you can. I don't know if there's any benefit to doing that, but it looks like you can do that, so I'm a fan. All right, who do we want to use here? Well, definitely him, because he's looks pretty cool. Like, dig the design. Let's see. We'll do. So, can you bring as many in the back row as you want, or no? Let's see. You have a team cost 51. Oh yeah, we have bullets. We'll do bullet over Kazuma. Kazuma's not half as cool as Hazuma, man. That's not even close. Can you bring more than one in the back? Doesn't look like it. You can't click after 4. Okay. They're going to use a lot of the music from the BlazBlue game, so I suspect the music is going to be good. So I don't know what any of these do. I see 50% there. That's something. I'll give that to Jin in case it's 50% starting NP, because he's probably the only one that can NP. Supposed to be a targeting thing like Epic 7? Oh, okay, so you'll have 4 people out. %, something. Oh, I just went over team cost. Gotta use a lower run. There we go. Okay. I kind of like all the Hazuma Teramis about the same. But, I don't know, Hazuma's probably my favorite because he had some pretty cool character development in the last game, but I like all of them. And Terami and Susanoo literally are the same person, right? It's just, in his main body or not. Where, you know, Hazuma was originally, you know, like a doll, basically, so he's a different person, but, Terami and Susanoo are the same person. In the bottom left, that blue button, wait, let me, those are summon tickets? Oh, wait, this? Wait, no, that's not, that's bottom right, excuse me. I don't know what you're talking about, Howard. This thing right here? Nope, that's the menu. I mean, I know this is where you do, summoning. Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, bottom left is, like, the news thing. Wait, this? I feel like this is not what, Wait, is this summon tickets? What? What is this UI? What the fuck is this? Oh yeah, I got a bullet dupe in my tutorial summon. I got 2 bullets in my tutorial summon, so that's the thing. Those are summon tickets? Well, I guess we have 5 of them? I don't even know who's available in this game. I haven't looked up, like, the roster, so... I just know Hazuma's not in the game, so it feels bad. Man, I was hoping that was the character. Tager's awesome. Got my hopes up there. You're killing me, game. I wonder if they'll do the alternate skins and stuff. Oh, shit. You just gotta say something. So you just gotta say something. Easy. I'll fucking take that. That's nice.
私でよければ力になろう。作戦内容は了解した。直ちに開始する。
Edgy. Okay. Okay, before we go play the game, we gotta go slap Tager on the team now. I mean, come on. I guess we'll put Bullet in the back. I assume Tager will be tanky. Yeah, he has 5,000 health, so yeah, that's decently tanky there. Feels bad not knowing what any of the CEs do. I could have such like laughably bad things on my characters right now. Character quest, daily quest, story quest. I guess we'll do story. Oh, there's a hard mode. Well, that already tells me that they have a story replay feature. I like, that's a good start. I like that. Do we start here because it says 1? Is this the tutorial? This was probably the tutorial. I guess this is where we go. Wait, what, Cairo? You'll find out. I don't even want to know now. Yeah, they're using some of the BlazBlue soundtrack. That's nice. So I wonder if they're gonna make Kazuma a good guy in this, because in like the normal story he acts like a good guy to a degree, but he's absolutely not. I would prefer to keep it that way, but I have a feeling they won't. Okay, literally nothing's... Wait... This is... I can already tell this is like the Valentine's Day thing. I think you have to... Oh my god, do you have to click the right thing? Please tell me there's a way you can just skip it so it auto does it correctly. Because it's like looping there. Well, we made it... I don't know what that was, but we made it past it. I like this green guy though, he's like Green Tager. I don't know what any of this stuff is. Okay, can you just click them to target them? Yes, okay. So you can see your deck. I'm guessing drive builds in P because that just makes sense. I don't know what revolver and special is at all. And I don't know if there's any benefit to using the same cards in the same unit, so... Let's do 3 revolvers and see what happens. Alright, you can do more than 3. Looks like the CE on that guy kills him every turn or something. Wrecked? Wonder if I'm being counterclassed or something, because Taker just got totally smacked there. Will they target switch? Let's find out. They do, okay. It'd be really dumb if they did. No, Kazuma's not Hazuma Portermi at all. They're 2 different people. They're both like artificially created, but they're 2 different like hosts for Terami. Kazuma was like the one before Hazuma. Well, okay, you can see that Tager's being counterclassed by these dark beastie thingies because you can see the arrow down, and then Bullet is counterclassing them apparently. I wonder if this game has like a whole first card bonus thing. That says attack up. I wonder if that means that's what drive does. Can you reset? I want to... No, it's just saying attack up, period. Okay. Trying to see if there's any UI indication here as to, So there's that revolver thing. I wonder if it's saying if I use a revolver, it gets a bonus, and then what if the next one's saying special gets a bonus? I don't know. I think it's just the next card you get. Let me see. So the next one would be a revolver. Yep, it's a revolver. Okay. That's just telling you what your next card is going to be. Look at all these bullet cards. I'm just... Oh, yeah, okay, sure, why not? At least there's more than one animation. From like their stream, it looked like every character only had one animation, but thankfully it's not that stupid. So can I not distortion drive if it looks like it can. Oh no, that must be, that's Jin. So Jin is still the one that has it. This is wave 2 of 3, so I guess I'll save it. Why are we fighting bumblebees? I just like to point that out. Oh, I see. I think when this is full, you can give it to anybody, but see, they're X'd out because they don't have it. So it has to be Jin right now. Man, that's dumb. I'm not a fan of that. Jin stuff, though. So they have distortions, you just can't get them until you get mini dupes of them. It's so weird, dude. Well, Jin murdered all of them. Yeah, you level up by using the characters, apparently. Unless that's Bond or some bullshit, which is possible, I suppose. I don't know what any of this is. Can I click hard mode? I guess you have to beat the whole story or something, or the whole chapter to get hard mode. It looks like there is story replay though, because like this is the stage we just did. It looks like you can just do it again, so it looks like it does allow you to. So if there are any good bosses along the way, although I have a feeling this game's gonna be pretty progression based with the stats, so we'll see if that means anything or not. A lot of games let you level your units through using them and beating them stuff, so we shall see. So I can tell that drive definitely builds your distortion gauge. I at least have figured that out. I don't know if there's a first card bonus system or anything like that. I have absolutely no idea what Special Evolve will do though. I'm assuming one of them is like more damagey based, but looks like we have a drive coming up, so we can put drive everywhere. There is an XP feeding system, well that's good. Bullet has a decent amount of animations. Revolver is for the overdrive circle on the left where the cards come from. Only activatable at 50%. So the thing right here, what does it do? Time to spam revolver and find out. Special ability from testing seems like cards that is supported to use for chaining with other cards usually. I mean, there's some interesting ideas here. I hope the main thing is they need to have good boss fights and whatnot. Characters don't seem to have like their own abilities outside of their normal cards though, so that's a little limiting. Or Taker getting counterclassed by everything right now. Did you have basic skills next to the character? You can click a red square with an arrow. No, I'll put that in a second. Red square with an arrow. Oh wait, this thing? I don't know what that did. I guess the A1 has one skill, but maybe you'll get more. It looks like he has like 3 attack ups or something. Everybody cast everything. That was just 12% attack up, what that looks like. I hope there's a way to turn skill confirmation off, just like an F-Go, that's annoying. There's something for 3 turns. Something for 1 turn. Okay, well, everybody click everything. I like how you can preview what's coming up in the deck, though. That's nice. I am so annoyed that only Jin can distortion drive. I'd be like, oh yeah, for these easy stages, we'll just check out everyone's animations, right, and see what they do. But I can't do that. I can only see Jin's. And you know, I don't have any problem with Jin or anything, but like, Jesus, that's dumb. I guess it'll depend on how quickly you can get dupes. We'll have to see. Like, I'm fine with them being like, oh, you need dupes to make it stronger, right? But like in F-Go, if you get Robin Hood, you can see Robin Hood's, you know, super attack just out of the box. And yeah, sure, until you get 4 more dupes of them, it's not going to be as strong as it should be, but at least it's something. I guess it'll just be down to how hard is it to get the dupes of the characters. I guess this is your first clear, like you get this right here on the first time you do the stage. I'll check out some of the other characters real quick just for variety's sake. Let's see, this guy's like my favorite so far, but we'll switch him out just to mix it up. Okay, game, you're telling me things that I do not understand. I don't know what any of that is. Cool guy, though. How do I switch the character? There we go. We'll do weird face. Fuck. We'll do that, and we'll do. I guess we'll do the main character. I don't know anything about them, so. Yeah, if this game has like a grail, oh, that's helpful. There's their counterclass system. That looks a little bit more complicated than F-Go's, but if there's a grail system, I'll totally grail that guy, like for sure. Looks like they're like the 2 main characters, at least at the start, basically. I'm sure she'll be the main character throughout the game, although I don't know if Kazuma will be in it throughout the whole game. We'll see. Be nice if there was like an auto system for this part, but hopefully these choices I'm making don't have any impact on anything, because I can't read a damn thing. I'm surprised they gave those guys art. I'm not complaining, but kinda cool. So she's like Mother Murakumo. That's pretty much what they're doing there. Okay, now Bullet is bad. I wish I knew how these combos interacted with each other, but oh yeah, that's definitely Murakumo there. Just get all of the drive. Fuck it. We'll do 4 attacks on this character and see what happens animation-wise here. Man, the really feeling like day 1 FGO right now. So I think they have different animations when it's different card type, but if they do the same card back to back, it's the same animation. I would not say they're worse than day 1 FGO. Because day 1 FGO, the animations are so bad. Like, they're so bad. Like, there's not, basic isn't even the right word for them. At least these are like showing off their powers and stuff. FGO was like, yep, everyone leaps forward, ragdoll-like, and just generically smacks them. And because here's really why FGO day 1 is way worse. I think a million times worse. Is that, you know, all the characters had the same animations, like Caesar and Saber and Attila and all had the same animations. Like, it's so fucked up. What are we doing here? The low star stuff does seem really stupid in this game. Although, you have to remember, FGO was like that too. I mean, literally, FGO is really awesome with low stars now, but they absolutely were not like that when they released. Like, not in the slightest. Almost all the low stars didn't have a third skill. You did not, you know, it was, oh my god. And obviously their animations were really bad and everything, but like, you didn't get SQ, where the fuck you couldn't summon, it was so fucking dumb at the beginning. I mean, yeah, I agree. You know, FGO came out a long time ago, you know, 6 years ago, but this is still way better than day 1 FGO. But yeah, I'm not a fan of what I'm seeing with the way they're handling low stars. It also doesn't make any sense because most of the games that are doing really well, like the kind of hero collection kind of games and stuff, the ones that are doing really well all are very, you know, kind to their low stars. All of them, right? Like Genshin Impact, FGO, all the big names are very fair to their low rarity characters. So yeah, we'll see though. I think it's too early to say, but I will check her distortion out. Drive, drive, drive. I mean, I think it'd be pretty dumb though to judge this game this early because imagine playing FGO when you're in for Yuki, right? That's nothing, right? Like, that's literally nothing. Like, what's gonna make or break it for me is if the boss fights are any good and that kind of thing. And then like how reasonable the boss is going to be with free-to-play units and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm certainly not like, oh wow, this looks great, right? It's right now it's basically FGO but BlazBlue, and that's pretty much it. But you know, if the boss fights are good, that's good enough for me. So we'll just have to see. Because seriously, Fuyuki is just click random normal cards in win game, right? That's all it is. That's not telling of anything. We'll try the other characters just to see their attacks and whatnot. Now I'll put the green guy in here because he's cool. Like, he should probably be in the front row because he has 4,000 health, but fine, I'll switch it around. I mean, FGO doesn't have any good bosses until Camelot, so... I really think, chat, you're being way, like... A lot of the criticisms you all are making completely apply to FGO too. I mean, just completely. And it's like, yeah, this may not go anywhere, but, you know, I'm gonna have to give it a minute, because it's just silly. Yeah, I guess Hector can be kind of a boss fight early on. That's true. And then the demon pillar there. The thing is, I see a lot of people get to that demon pillar, and maybe they're just, you know, over-leveled like crazy, because it's easy to do that nowadays in FGO. Or they just get, you know, smacked, and they're like, oh, this is just a stat check, right? So a lot of people get a bad impression from that boss, even though it's, I don't think it is a stat check, but... But like, you know, picking units that have good like skills that synergize with each other and all that stuff, you know, you're not gonna see like what kind of creative things you can do with that. What is this? Is this some kind of heal, I guess? Yeah, I think this is a heal. You're not gonna see like how useful it is, oh, to bring a healer and a tank and a DPS, or like, oh, you're not gonna see any of that until you get to harder content. Because like, if she's a healer, she's like a support, right? And right now, none of the content is hard enough for that to even matter. Yeah, FGO does not matter in terms of bosses until Camelot, I would say. And in Camelot, you can still overstat. You can still very much overstat Camelot. It takes FGO forever to really get cooking. Once it gets going, it's really good. You know, 5-2 is amazing, and a lot of the Epic Remnants are really good, and the challenge quests and events are really good and stuff. But we haven't seen anything. Okay, let's see what this does. We haven't seen anything like that from this game yet, so I guess that's saying it lasts for like the next 6 cards or something. Oh, I see. Okay, you can go way farther there. I think it died. I think it died. Okay, I see what that system does now. You can go to 12 cards at 100%. Jeez. I'd imagine for longer fights, getting that meter up is worth it then. Give me all the Jin cards. Yeah, right now, aside from it just being BlazBlue, I wouldn't say there's really anything special about it, but the combat system, I think, has potential to have depth to it, right? We're not fighting anything that would demand, you know, using such depth, but I mean, I definitely think the combat system could be good. Because, you know, between the characters having skills and the ways you can use the normal cards, there's definitely you know, room for like, oh man, you really need to bring this kind of team and use your skills this way to deal with this kind of boss and so on and so forth. Like, absolutely, but I don't know if they're actually going to, you know, demand that of you. And this is something I'll really give Arknights. Arknights is able to make very interesting, like, mentally engaging stages from like chapter 2 and on, right? Like, now in Arknights you can overlevel things and that kind of thing as well, but if you don't overlevel things in Arknights, literally from like World 2, the stages are quite engaging, right? So I think actually out of every mobile game I've played, I think Arknights has done the best job of letting you kind of see the depth of the gameplay very early on, where, you know, FGO fails completely at that, like, so much so. fact that FGO doesn't have a pity system still just blows my mind, but one of these days. So I guess the people in the back row either can't be attacked or just way less likely to be attacked. That's what it seems like. I'm just gonna spam revolver as much as I can and see what we can do with that system. That's true, FGO does technically have a TD system. It is just the worst one out of any game that I've ever seen. And it only affects people that spend thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, you could be quite the whale and you are never going to use the pity system in FGO. So I guess whoever goes last gets the EX. Good old Buster there. Man, we're getting like no revolver. I was wanting to get that meter up, but it's not happening. I'm assuming different characters have different decks. Is there any bonus to using a million cards from the same person? Well, that did like no damage. I will say, I really dislike the low stars not being able to use their distortion until you get dupes of them. That's just, like, why? And that just from never mind, like, gameplay fairness, from like a marketing standpoint and like that kind of thing, it's dumb. Like, it makes people be like, oh wow, all these characters don't even have special moves. They're not even gonna realize that you have to get dupes of them. And like, nobody wants to jump into the game and then like, have all these characters that don't have super moves. Like, literally no one wants to see that. That just is, and it's also insane to put in the effort of creating a super move and then not letting people see it easily, right? That's just weird. Like, that feels like, and I know this game was like, they were originally going to release it a long time ago. I feel like they were, you know, just having that mindset from, you know, games so many years past, and they just didn't change it, you know, with the years to come. Like, so strange to me. Look at all the drive in the deck. Jesus. You know what, let's do that and then just spam drive forever. I know what they're called in this game. I've played every BlazBlue game that has ever existed, but I'm not going to refer to them as that because no one in my chat would know what the fuck I'm talking about. That is a very weird looking trash mob. It's like a tree with fungus growing out of it, and then it has balloons and maces. That's what it looks like. That doesn't make any sense. Look at all, we clearly are using characters that have like big drive decks or something, because like the amount of drive we have going on right now is kind of ridiculous. And we already got our drive again. I guess if you build up the meter, you could Jesus, but if you build up the meter, you could have 3 people distortion at the same time. But we can't do that because of the low rarity nonsense. Don't worry though, Jin can just spam it forever, you know, no problem. Well, basically, it feels like kind of a cheap F-Go, and yeah, I really wouldn't be able to. I don't think I'd be able to say much more about it unless I get further, which I'll try to get further. But there are definitely some things in this that I'm not a fan of. Also, like, they've yet to throw anything at me, right? That's even remotely difficult, right? Everything they're throwing at me right now is super easy. Let's see, is there a way to easily see what the unit's like deck is or something like that? Okay, so you do get other skills, it looks like, or either that or it's an upgrade to his skill. I don't know what any of this is. Why does this have a check mark? I'm trying to see if there's a way to see their deck, though. I wonder if everyone has the same deck. I wouldn't think so, but voice lines. I'm guessing these are passives up here. Oh, I see. Yeah, to get her distortion drive, you need to ascend her, right? You can see it's right there, and then that's the astral. And this is either an upgrade to her. I think this is an upgrade to her skill, is what that looks like. So I guess most people are only going to have one skill, would be my guess. What are these? Hey, bunny. Yeah, so far it's pretty similar to F-Go in terms of like the basic combat system and that kind of thing. And it's got like craft essences and that kind of thing, which that I'm actually happy about because fuck games like this that have gear systems. So at least they don't have that going on. That's like the biggest negative for me. Give me revolvers! They clearly, though, are not putting as much effort into the attack animation. I mean, like, you know, some of these attack animations are decent and all, but the fact that, like, if you use the same card back to back, it's the same animation, you know, that's pretty lame. Like, that's... And at least F-Go, when you do a triple art, it's for the same unit, it's 3 different attacks, right? Well, except for old units, obviously. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing. We're just spamming Tagger stuff. Let's go. Trying to get that revolver system going. I feel like we don't have a lot of revolvers in this deck, though. That's definitely what it seems like. I'd like to get 100%, but I feel like we're gonna win the stage. Okay, no, they can attack your back row. Just less likely, I suppose. He actually did a crap load of damage to her, because I guess she's being counterclassed. No revolvers, feels bad, man. I don't know what special does at all. I wonder if special is character specific. Because that's how it is in actual BlazBlue when you do your special button. It's different per character, so I wonder if they would do that. Everybody do special, although I should have done the revolver, but whatever. Yeah, your special button in FGO was called drive, but they don't seem to be really using it that way, so... If only we'd gotten that other revolver. So I think there was like a prediction thing that would show you how much meter you would get if you did the combo there. That's kind of cool. That's actually something I wish FGO would do. Fucking 98%, by the way. And you can make the prediction thing not count in crits and stuff like that, so you could still potentially get more, but that would be nice. Okay, we got one more wave. We might be able to get go 100%. I don't think so. Yeah, there's like no revolvers coming up. I hope we get another proper BlazBlue game soon. Alright, let's have Jin go ham here. It's gonna look stupid because it's all the same card. Man, they're all dead already. So they're doing a lot. They're doing a lot of stuff with their sprite work that FGO does for animation updates, right? They're relying on paper mache techniques instead of reanimating the body parts quite a lot. Now, I've seen they have reanimated the body parts some, but I can tell they're doing exactly what FGO does. It's like, hey, we could probably get away with not reanimating like the chest, so let's not. And that's what FGO does when they do an animation update. But when FGO does a new unit, FGO generally reanimates the body parts a lot. But like I've noticed, like with a lot of Jin stuff there, his chest should really move, right, and be more from like the side and stuff. But it stays looking from the same angle, so it looks kind of off. It's like paper mache, man. It's like all the rage these days because it saves you a lot of time. Is that a fast forward mode? Let's see what that looks like. I will say their quote unquote slow mo, if that's what we were seeing, is fast enough that it's not that big of a deal, but I guess we'll save our revolvers. Okay, yeah, see now that looks insane, right? Like that looks insane, although I guess that's what you would do when you're autoing, which is never a good sign to me when you have autoing in these games, but yeah, that's really fast there. Because they did reanimate her chest there and change the angle, but there's just a lot of animations where they should and they don't. Although, funnily enough, they are definitely reanimating their body parts more than FGO does for their animation updates. Sorry to say. I wonder what the EX at the end does. So you can't overkill and do the other attacks if they're dead, so we didn't get all those revolvers. Well, that sucks. Good to know, though. So one thing I don't like, now I may be wrong about this because I may just be projecting FGO strategies, but I assume a lot of times it's good to do cards of the same type, but that's kind of annoying when the animations are the same with the same card. But I don't know, they might have like first card bonus kind of things going on that incentivize you not to do that. Oh hey, Osaka, thank you for the resub. I don't know why I didn't hear that. Do I have my notifications on? I think I do. both being counterclassed feels bad. I see you throwing shade, chat. Like, I have no idea what the benefit of doing, you know, all special here. I have no idea what that does. They should. All they needed to do, in my opinion, for these animations to be better in terms of like variety, is each card should have 2 animations. You don't have to do 3, you don't have to do 4, but each, if you do special, like on the big green guy, it should be 2 different animations. That would help a lot. Where they do have different animations, but it's only for the different card types. If they had just done 2 per card type, I think that would have been totally acceptable. There's like no point in me spamming drive. Only 1 character can use the fucking drive. Really, what's going to make or break that to me is how often do you get those characters from FP? Because in FGO, for example, for Robin to really be the budget archer nuker that he can be, right? To like make up, because people always say, oh, you don't need 5-star archers, you can use Robin, and that's true. But in order to do that, you do need Robin to be in P5, and you know, that can take a bit of a time. It doesn't take too long, but like by the time you get to Camelot, you're pretty likely to have him at least in P3. But for real, you know, you're not going to have in P5 Robin unless you're really lucky, you know, in your first week of the game. It's not going to happen. But the game, FGO doesn't throw anything difficult at you in the first week of the game. Like, not at all. It's a total snores fest. And so kind of with this game, it's like how quickly through FP summons and those kinds of things can you get, you know, a lot of dupes of these characters. But it's in my opinion, it's worse than FGO because although FGO can take a while to NP5 the 1 to 3 stars, you can at least see their NPs before that, right? You can just check out their animations and whatnot. You cannot do that in this game, which I'm like, why though? Hopefully they'll get a lot of feedback on that and they'll turn that around, but I doubt it because it seems like pretty integral to the game, and I don't know how they would replace like the point of getting the dupes otherwise. Tager almost died. Let's see, do they let Jin distortion twice? Yes, that's so stupid. That's gonna look dumb as hell. Game, why you know let other people... I should have done the overdrive thing. I could have had Jin attack up a trillion times. Like right there at the end when the arm in the back, when it comes forward like that, his chest needs to move, right? But it doesn't, and that looks dumb, right? They should like, it doesn't need to go like, they don't need to reanimate the chest like from a completely different angle, but they clearly should have reanimated his chest there, and they just don't. But yeah, FGO does that kind of thing all the time with their animation updates, and it looks bad, so. Yeah, I should have burned there just for the lulz. I don't know what's happening right now. Man, I'm getting really tired of these people in my chat that like are not regulars and they're just trying to like show off. It's like, just can it, dude. I had a feeling this might happen. All the BlazBlue fans coming in here trying to show off. Always one when you play these games. This game is definitely not going to get anywhere close to like FGO's level of popularity. You can just tell from like the level of interest in it leading to its release that it's never gonna really go anywhere, I don't think. Unless, you know, something really dramatic happens. You never know. Some games start off pretty slow and then they happen to catch on big time. Well, I'll say this. These crabs look awesome. I should really be paying attention to the counter class system because I keep bringing a lot of units that are being countered, which does not seem to be ideal. See, now, I guess it's saying these can chain because these are two of the same type. It's not saying they chain with the revolver, I'm pretty sure. I wonder if their effect is just stronger when they're chaining with something else of its kind. I wonder if it kind of looks like all of these are chaining even though they're two different types, but it's because two are the same and then two are the same. I wonder if that's how it works. I'm kind of wondering if just chaining two things just makes its effect better. Like whatever its effect is, it just makes it better. What? Why though? I like how they got these like all... Can you imagine you're this like metal crab, right? And you got these giant teeth and everything and spikes everywhere. And you're like, okay, got my giant ass claws. They're like bigger than me. I'm gonna walk up to this guy and instead of like getting him with my claws, I'm gonna yeet my claws into the ground and I'm gonna spit at him. That'll show him, that'll shame him. So he'll never want to face me again, right? Like, Jesus, man, use your teeth or your claws here. Okay, well, revolver for days. Yeah, I'm gonna spit on him. That'll show him. Look, they even reanimated the trash mobs from like the front. So why doesn't Jin his chest move in that one animation, man? It's so awkward looking. There we go. That's better. That's much better. Thank you. Now do more of that. Why does this guy have that many animations when our characters don't? Look at all that getting counterclassed. When you crit for like no damage. What the hell dictates your crit chance? Yeah, honestly, I like those crabs quite a bit. They're pretty cool. If they were playable, I would play one. I'm telling you, man, F-Go and all these other games, they're really missing out by not making their trash mobs playable. And like, you can just tweak their stats to be more reasonable on the player side of things. I am such an advocate for because I think Genshin could do it. I think Genshin Impact, like, it wouldn't take too much work. Genshin needs to, because Genshin has no 1 to 3 star characters. They only have 4 and 5 star. Genshin needs to add 1 to 3 star characters to their game, and they should be trash mobs. I am such an advocate for that. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it'd actually be hard for them to implement either. Like, you could totally do it. You get the deck collectors and stuff, exactly. Epic 7 has playable trash mobs, which is nice, but most of these games don't. I really wish F-Go and stuff would. It'd be awesome. But yeah, those crabs, I'd play the crabs. Alright, we've got our 50% thing, but I don't think we really need it right now, so I guess we'll save it. I actually want to try, because like I did drive special and the whole thing links, I want to see if I just pick random bullshit if that also links. So, see what the UI does here. Jin getting absolutely wrecked, being counterclassed, so. Okay, so let's not link a damn thing, like in terms of, like, yeah, just total, yeah, okay, they're not linking, they're not linking. So yeah, I think what happens is you need 2 of a type, and then if you have 2 of a type next to it as well, it'll also link. So you can link revolver and drive if it's like revolver, drive, I think. Let me see, let me do revolver, and then just 1 drive. It still links. Now, would it not link then if the next thing was just something totally random? Let's still do special. It still links. Does the beginning just have to link then? I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, really, if you played F-Go, this game is similar enough to F-Go that it's pretty easy to kind of at least know what to look for. Okay, what if we do that, and then, okay. So, I think it's it feels like the first 2 need to be the same, and then after that, it literally doesn't matter anymore. Because, no, that doesn't link. Okay, why? Why does that not link? I wonder if certain like if like can special go into revolver? No? Okay. It's nice that they have a back button, by the way. So what if you do revolver, revolver? Then that's not linking. I wonder if it's from the same character it'll link, and that lets you link things that are not of the same type. Let's see. It's really hard for me to experiment with that because I have one card for each fucking person. Okay, we get another one for her. Okay, so what if we did... Okay, it does... Yeah, that's it. Okay, if it's from the same character, it'll link anyway. Okay. So what if you did, like... So you could do that, and then that, and then that. That's interesting. I actually like that. That's kind of a cool thing. Although in that case, those are the same card type, because that's just the way that went. But that is neat. I don't mind that. I wouldn't say the UI is wasted space. I wouldn't say that because you don't want clutter all over your screen. If anything, you want the more minimalist you can get away with your UI being, the better. That very much so. God, that is such a staple of like fucking like old crappy free-to-play MMOs where like you load into the game and then your fucking screen was nothing but UI buttons everywhere, and it's like, okay, well, that is such a thing, by the way. Well, we didn't get 100%, even though we have a million revolvers coming up, but oh well. I really do want to see that at 100% just because it'd be very silly. How many gen cards can we get here? So I think if you do that, all of the cards that come out of the deck will be the same character. That's what it looks like. So it's like a guaranteed way to do like a Brave thing, right? Like an FGO. Honestly, some of these ideas are really good. Now, you need the bosses to be hard enough for it to even matter, but I would kill for FGO to have a way where if like you build up a meter, you could guarantee a you know, a Brave Chain on Mori, right? Because there's a lot of setups that really, like especially Buster teams. Buster teams get so much damage when they can do like NP and then 2 Buster cards on that same unit. But then you can't always line up when you have your NP or skills ready to go that you actually have your Buster cards. Like, not at all. I would kill for if FGO had a system where, okay, after you do enough stuff, you can, you know, use a resource and then, you know, shuffle the deck or guarantee a Brave Chain for this unit or turn the deck into all cards for this unit. That way you can, like, that would add so much, that would remove so much RNG from FGO when you do, like, a really hard challenge quest. Because seriously, anyone that, like, does really hardcore stuff in FGO knows what I'm talking about. When you get lucky, let's say you're doing Edmund double scatty, something like super disgusting like that. If you're fighting a challenge quest and you happen to get like 2 quick cards on Edmund that, you know, with the crits already and stuff, the power difference on that with like NP gain and damage you can do versus if you don't is so big, right? Yeah, you have BB, but BB she's not that though. That's everyone acts like BB that does that. She doesn't. Because BB needs the deck to already be in that situation for her to freeze it and for it to be good, right? Where you may just never get the right hand for her to do that, right? It's like, oh, I need to NP this turn. Too bad Kentucky doesn't have his card, so freezing the deck wouldn't do anything. And if I freeze it next turn, it's too late, right? So she doesn't really remove RNG at all. She just lets you capitalize on good RNG. That's what everyone gets wrong about her. Everyone thinks she removes RNG and lets you do Brave Chains whenever you want. That's not what she does. She allows you to, when you do get lucky, to get super lucky. But yeah, I think FGO could really benefit from like having some systems like that where you could guarantee getting certain cards on a certain unit at a certain time, because there's so much synergy for certain units for that kind of thing, especially units like Mori and with the like normal card crit units and stuff are very much like that. Because FGO's got a lot of stuff that's not luck, where you can, you know, kind of card count and predict your NP gain, and use, a big part of FGO is using your character skills properly, right? Clicking the skills at the right times and using your Mystic Code at the right time and all that kind of stuff. But there is a degree of RNG in that game that can just be infuriating for the really hard boss fights. And yeah, it'd be pretty swell to have a way you'd be like, okay, I built up this thing and now I can guarantee, you know, but like when I was doing the challenge quest from the little Tengu event, right, when I was using Jerker, if I could have like built up a meter or something and then guaranteed that Jerker could do a Buster Chain with her NP, that would just be amazing, right? That would make that setup so much more consistent, where, you know, there's definitely a degree of, yeah, and Canis is definitely a unit that would benefit from that kind of thing. So yeah, there's some ideas in this. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool, but yeah, I'm gonna have to see the harder bosses. You know, that is just straight up. Okay, so let's see. If I'm understanding this correctly, you could do like this, this, and then it would still chain because it's Jin. No, it doesn't. Okay. What the how does this work then? I'm so confused as how sometimes I've been able to chain things that are not the same type, and sometimes I can't. What is it? So now these are all the same type. I'm so confused there. Okay, I wonder if it has to be their first card has to be from that character or something. You know, I need another Jin card that's not. See, why does this chain? Why does that chain? Dude, I wonder if certain card types just work together or something. I am so confused now. Why does that bullet card chain? I don't understand. What is the thing here? See, then those don't chain, right? Why does this chain? Because they tell you what chains up down here, like down below, right, when you click it. Why? Why do these chain? Drive just links after a revolver? Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, is there might be like certain, like a kind of paper rock scissors thing, except it's a good thing, not a bad thing, where like special goes after X, and then X goes after Y, and Y goes after, you know, like that kind of thing. That's what I was thinking earlier. Like a special can go after drive, and then what can go after special then? Fucking nothing. Either that, it's a type that I don't have, but okay, that's good to know. I mean, that's interesting. I don't mind that. It's just I want to be able to know what the hell is what. So yeah, that would only go up to there then, because it looks like nothing goes after special. So can you do so? If drive can go after revolver and special can go after drive, right? You can do that, right? And then like for like goes after each other. So then you can do special and special. I mean, I don't hate this system at all. That's actually pretty cool. But it doesn't matter if the content is easy. This is what I'm always saying. It's like a lot of the depth that you can get in FGO is only there because you're fighting something like as hard as, you know, Neopets Gramps, or as hard as King Potato Chips, or as, you know, whatever, right? When FGO isn't throwing hard content at you, it doesn't matter if you do the first card, you know, Buster bonus or Art bonus or 3 of a kind, or you loop with your NP. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what you do, right? So having Z pushes you to try to min-max your normal cards, your skills, your NP, and your Mystic Code all at the same time, right? So you need content that's hard enough for it to matter. So honestly, some of this, like I said, the base combat system here, I'm having no problem with. However, if they don't have any good bosses, it's completely irrelevant, and it's just gonna be a snores fest, and you know, I'm gonna hate it. So we'll just have to see. So Strive can go after revolver. That's interesting. So I would imagine though it's still better to do 4 of a type, especially if you're trying to build that thing. Like if you're trying to build the, you know, revolver meter, then it's better to do 4 revolvers, I would assume. Now, I don't know what EX does, but I'm kind of assuming it just makes the card stronger. Yeah, what IC said, that definitely seems what it looks like. And I guess special is 3, basically, is what that is. But the like for like, though, works. So that's pretty interesting. I wonder, is there a way to... Now, I guess you have to use 4 attacks, because this guy's going to die the first time we hit him. Let's see if we can just save our revolver cards, then. Really, you know, a lot of people in my chat are being pretty negative about this game, but if they throw good bosses at me, I'm good. Like, yeah, these animations could be better, and that's disappointing. But for God's sakes, look at how many FGO videos I made for like really hard boss fights using a bunch of units with day 1 animations, right? So it's like, if it's a good boss, I'll be happy. And I like the BlazBlue universe, so I mean, I can enjoy this game, but we'll see, because they may never throw good bosses at us. They may not allow you to get duplicates of low rarity characters easily, like, and those things could really hurt the game. And you know, the game may not be, you know, free to play friendly at all. So we'll just have to see. I'm being super counterclassed right now. Like 3 of my units are being counterclassed by this stage. They're not, oh, okay, they're being countered by that guy too. Okay, that's, Bullet, save us, please. So she gets the next card. I wish you could see whose card it was. Like, and you can preview it because you can go back. But you can see that, oh wait, I wonder... Okay, the next card will always be the character you picked. Interesting. So you can kind of manipulate it that way. Does that go forever? Can you just keep getting cards for that person? Yeah, you can. I think if you pick their card, the next card will always be for them. That's interesting. I kind of would have liked that better though if that only applied when you had the drive up, when you had overdrive up, because that makes overdrive better. It basically, you get one card per person and you replace that card, and then you know, you can see what type it is in the wheel. That's all right. I don't mind that. The nice thing about that is, if, for example, you're in this situation where Bullet is the only one that can do any fucking damage because the other three are counter class, you can just spam Bullet, right? I mean, that may not be optimal for, like, you know, making a revolver chain or what have you, but you can make sure you get some fucking damage in. So I don't mind that at all. Now, see, that makes me feel even more so. I don't know why that was a combo break, but that makes me feel even more so, though, that they needed to make 2 animations per card for each character, right? If you do revolver twice on Bullet, there should be 2 animations for it. Like, that seems so obvious, right? Gen cards, go! But yeah, so going like what Cairo just said, obviously that completely applies to FGO, where FGO doesn't have any good boss fights. I mean, God, it took Camelot. Like, that's insane. And, you know, a lot of us put up with FGO because we've already been playing it for a long time and we're already at the point where there's good boss fights. That's why I think new games, right, there's no reason for them to make it that, you know, dull, that long. That's where Arknights excels. You get an engaging experience very quickly in Arknights and things like that. So I think, you know, games that want to get into this market, they need to, you know, really show their hand sooner, if you will. Okay, well, it's time for a Bullet to go absolutely ham. I'm not even gonna look at the fucking cards. But see, imagine if she had the amount of, like, animation variety here that she does in the actual game, right? If you did a long combo like this, and she had, you know, she was literally doing combos basically from BlazBlue instead of just, you know, a few moves. That would be awesome, right? That would be really awesome, but that would require more work, so they're not having it, apparently. I mean, they copied FGO's account system, for God's sakes, which might be the dumbest thing I've ever seen a game do. There was one thing, there's 2 things you don't copy from FGO, and that is their quote-unquote pity system. Don't ever copy that. And then don't copy their fucking account system. Now, I don't mind FGO's account system as an optional thing. You know, it's kind of nice, especially for people that are not sure if they're going to really get into the game or not. They don't want to register their email and all this stuff right off the bat and give their email to a game that they may not actually play in the long run. So it's nice to have your account status saved on your device and you don't have to do anything. You just pick up and play, you don't have to worry about it. So having an account like binding system like FGO, totally fine, but then if you're like, okay, I do like this game and I want to, you know, play it for realsies and I want to be able to switch devices, then you need to be like, okay, and yeah, you can link it to your Google account or your Facebook or your Twitter or whatever, right? That's just obvious, right? So doing both, I think, is the best, right? I think doing both really is nice. You know, requiring an email or whatever might be kind of annoying to some people, so having both options is fine. But only having one, it seems... Like, why, though? Like, literally, why? I'm assuming a lot of these drops I'm getting are, like, Ascension materials and that kind of thing. Have you gotten hard mode, Cairo? Because if hard mode is actually hard, that will be pretty swell. Alright, let's take a peek at some things here. I don't know what this is. What? Well, that's just like the story we're in. Okay. Well, sometimes adding stats to things is fine. For example, Gwaine in Camelot, if you had a hard mode of Gwaine where he just had, 200k more health, that's fine. But that's because Gwaine is a good fight to begin with, and then that just means you have to, be more optimal and that kind of thing. By the way, that's what Anniversary Gwaine is, by the way. It's just Gwaine with more health. But anyway, yeah, they need good boss fights in the first place. Then if you're going to make hard mode just a stat increase, you need to have good mechanics on the bosses to begin with, so we'll just have to see. Yeah, I don't really like that you can get a Brave Chain basically for a character any turn that you want. I really think that should have been tied to the drive thing. I think that would have been a lot better, where being able to do 4... It's kind of nice to be able to do 4 bullet cards whenever you want, for example, but it does mean you're almost never going to click the other cards unless you're trying to do like a revolver chain or whatever. Well, I imagine if the bosses are doing that much damage, you're probably supposed to come back at that later, but we'll see. Yeah, what are their dailies? I'm guessing this is how you get, various things for like XP and whatnot. Okay. Looks like you can only do them 3 times a day. Yeah, by the way, where's our AP? I'm sure this game has some kind of AP system. I'm guessing that's the green thing. I should be looking at AP costs on things, because that's something where FGO really fucks up. FGO definitely drops the ball in that department. I mean, look at these and see what their cost is. 10, I think, is what it looks like. I guess it depends on what your cap is. When you're, kind of done, when you're at, because in FGO it's like, 130 or something, and then up, you get a bit beyond that, but you start getting, like, AP cap really slowly after, like, 130 or 140 or something. I guess these are, like, interludes or something. Huh, I guess, oh, I see. These are those things that you get from dupes, and Jin can just get them by doing this, and Noelle can get them from just doing this, where the new characters can't, or the low rank characters can't. That seems like a really easy way to fix it, is just let low stars do this. That's kind of dumb. Excuse me. I already said the green orb thing was your AP, that's like obvious. Now, do you have to actually add friends to get FP? It looks like it because I have 0 FP. Like, this is clearly the FP summon, and I have none. I wonder if you can even get the low rarity people in this, or if it's just like materials and like CEs and that kind of thing. That might be the case. That would really suck then. That would make it really annoying to get dupes of characters. Like that would be super annoying. There's already a decent amount of translations for the menus, so I'm sure there'll be a friend one at some point. I don't know what any of this loot does. I mean, I know this is SQ, and that's about it. I should use Noelle once just to see what her attacks are, because that's like school Noelle instead of the military one. The military one's from the Gacha, obviously. Yeah, I've seen the friends system. Like, I just don't know how to add anyone, so I'll have to check that later. Let's see. Guess we'll replace Tager for now. I'm at 53 and 53 on my team cost. I have no idea if Hakumen is in the game now. I feel like he's not because he's so popular. I feel like that's something they'd want to add for like a big, Hey, thank you for the, for the raid, Whale. Nice chin gong icon, by the way. I approve of this. But thank you for the raid, dude. One of these days, dude, I need a Grail chin gong. He's kind of the best. But, yeah, Hakumen is so popular that I think that's something they would rate up later. Alright, let's just spam Noelle cards here and see what she does. Why was there such a long delay? Like between their first and second attack there. Jesus, the damage though. Man, like all of the enemies in these early stages counterclass the big green guy, which sucks because I like him. Let's see how much damage he does if I do a full chain with him. Oh god, that doesn't chain though at all. Because like the cards don't sync up right. There we go, we'll do that. Yeah, when you do 3 of the same card type, it looks pretty stupid. Okay, let's see. Yeah, cards from the same person do not necessarily chain. So yeah, it's basically that 1, 2, 3 system, and then 3 doesn't go around to 1. At least you didn't have to wait for the back button, that is true. Oh god, early FGO. At least, like, you know, FGO still got some serious problems, you know, no safety net and so on and so forth. But thank god they've improved some of the things that they have. So I kind of expect that doing 4 cards from the same person, if it's not a chain, is not worth it unless they're the only one counterclassing. But like, I think chaining is better than using 4 from the same person, unless like everyone else on the team does no damage to the thing you're fighting. Yeah, you got the command code UI, you have the lack of a safety net, you still have a bunch of day 1 animations. And, you know, having to unlock 3rd skills on old characters and having to use hundreds of AP to do that, you know, that... God, that stuff drives me nuts. And then just the early game is trash. Like, the early game in FGO is super trash. Like, it gets a little bit better in America, kind of, but it doesn't really get better until Camelot. So, can we just do this? Yeah, pretty much. I really do need to get that to 100%. Considering how the game like incentivizes this kind of thing, they absolutely should have made more animations per character. So I'm telling you, if FGO came out today and it wasn't Fate, right? Like if it just was its gameplay and its same quality of voice acting and story presentation and all that, you know, music, all that's, you know, same quality, but it wasn't Fate, and it came out today, it would not do well at all. It would do terribly. It would get destroyed and no one would play it. They were very lucky that they released when they did. And also, they're lucky that they were Fate. If they weren't Fate, it would have been big problems. And like, plenty of good things in FGO, but they weren't in, you know, they're so far into the game. I don't see this game doing super well because, one, the BlazBlue IP, sad to say, just isn't that popular of an IP. And then it's not doing anything unique. It's doing what like everyone else does, and it's doing it decently well. It's not terrible. I see potential here, but it's not offering anything new, right? Like, unless you're a big BlazBlue fan, why would you play this instead of just playing, you know, Art Knights or FGO or what have you? Especially if you've already been playing FGO and you're already at the good boss fights. You know, you're already at the point where you can do challenge quests and things that are actually more interesting. Like, if you don't like BlazBlue, why bother, right? Because it's so similar. Unless you specifically like this universe, I don't see any reason to play this. Where like with Genshin Impact, there's a lot of really obvious reasons to play it, even if you're already established in other games, because Genshin Impact is very unique. It's a third person, you know, you control the characters directly, you know, it's very exploration and puzzle based, and then it has like, you know, 3D boss fights with iframes and all that kind of stuff. So it's appealing to something very different, right? So you can very much be like, oh yeah, I love FGO, and then like, oh yeah, and Genshin is, you know, offering something really different. Because like this feels a lot like FGO, but not as developed, and you'd probably have to play for a really long time if you wanted to get to like any content worth a damn. And you may never, and you don't even know. You don't, if you play this game like a fuckload, you're not guaranteed that they're actually going to have boss fights later that are good, right? You don't actually know that. Where in FGO, you already know that. Well, here's the thing. I'm a big BlazBlue fan, but this doesn't affect this. I am tired of this kind of fallacy because it's just like it's like a 12-year-old mentality. It's like people in FGO being mad at arcade, acting like that's taking away from regular FGO. It's being developed by a different publisher and developer. Like, it doesn't affect anything, and it's the same for this game. If this game didn't exist, that's not gonna make a proper fighting game version of BlazBlue come out any sooner. Because that other company is doing the legwork of the development work on this game, right? So, like, if anything, what's taking away from BlazBlue is Guilty Gear, right? Now, I like Guilty Gear too, so I have no hate here, but they're not gonna... This game has no impact on their schedule for if they ever make another proper, you know, 2D fighting game for BlazBlue. There's nothing to do with it. The resources that go into this do not affect, you know, the development work for anything else. The reason there's no other BlazBlue game is because they haven't seemed to have been interested in making one. And fair enough, I'll say this, burnout is a real thing, and they've made so many BlazBlue games, it's kind of obvious that they wanted to take a break and do Guilty Gear for a while and do other things. And then that way, when they go back to BlazBlue, which they probably will eventually, and there was that tweet earlier this year saying that they wanted to, you know, they'll be like, oh yeah, now we're in the mood again, and we're fresh, and we've taken a break from it, and we've seen other things, and now we want to come back to it. So, I think if we get a new, you know, proper BlazBlue game or not, literally has nothing to do with this game in the slightest, and it's probably good that they took a break and did Guilty Gear stuff. Because I'd imagine now they're probably a little bit tired of doing Guilty Gear stuff, and they're probably going to want to do something else. So that's it's not good for game development when you know, you work on the same thing or the same genre or IP just over and over again endlessly. You need to switch it up and do other things. But I see this so much in like the FGO community where people act like things being added to arcade is taking them away from regular FGO. It's like, it doesn't work that way. It's a different development studio, it's a different game, it has its own budget, it has its own... Like, it's totally different, you know? Their art system works trying to get their way into the mobile sphere is going to happen one way or another. It doesn't matter if they made this a Guilty Gear game, it doesn't matter if they made this a BlazBlue game, or if they made it a new IP, or if they made it a, you know, Dragon Ball Z game. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They were going to make a mobile game no matter what. That's not going to affect their, like, they obviously wanted to make a fighting game, right? They're getting ready to bring out the other Guilty Gear game. So, and they're wanting to make a mobile game, and so we have this, right? That's not going to change. It doesn't matter if that Guilty Gear game was another Dragon Ball Z game, or if this game was a Guilty Gear game. They were going to, this is what we're getting no matter what, right? And the IP is, you know, kind of irrelevant. Especially because Arc System Works, from what I understand, is not doing most of the development work for this game. I think they're just doing like the music and some of the art and that kind of thing, but like the actual development work in this game is that other company. Where right now Arc System Works' effort is mostly going into Guilty Gear, right? And so that's what's cock-blocking BlazBlue, if you will. Although, generally with game development, it's pretty complicated, so like, once your artists, like your concept art and your pre-production team and stuff are done, right? And so it's mostly coding and all that kind of stuff. A lot of times, so why the coders and engineers and stuff are working on, you know, Guilty Gear right now, your pre-production people are already working on the next thing, right? So they're not necessarily always working on the same project at the same time. So. He's talking about the story though. Like, obviously that's what he's talking about. And like, that's just PR, dude. Like, that's not how game development works. Like, at all. Especially because this is being made by a different dev. Like, what Mori was talking about is very much just like the story and stuff. There's no way they're like, oh yeah, we're never making a regular BlazBlue game again. Although, truly, I don't think Arc System Works has that much desire to make a proper fighting game for BlazBlue right now, because that's why they stopped making them. And you gotta remember, now, I gotta be clear, I like BlazBlue more than Guilty Gear. I do. I like Guilty Gear, but I like BlazBlue more. So I'm not like being biased against BlazBlue here. But they only made BlazBlue because they lost the IP rights to Guilty Gear, and they couldn't make Guilty Gear games anymore. And then, you know, they made BlazBlue, and I'm sure they, you know, like BlazBlue. It's not like they didn't put effort into it. Of course they did. But they got the rights to Guilty Gear back, and they've been making BlazBlue for a long time, and so I think they were very happy to go back and work on Guilty Gear again, because that was kind of their baby to start with. And they, you know, haven't really put a lot of effort into BlazBlue recently, and it's not because I don't think it's because like, yeah, guys, let's fuck the fans, fuck those guys. How dare they like 2D fighting games in BlazBlue? I think the reason why they did like Cross Tag, because Cross Tag just reuses a lot of assets from regular BlazBlue and whatnot. Obviously, they made some new sprites for it too, but like it's a lot of reused assets. I think the reason why they did that, and then you've got this other company making this game and stuff, is because Arc System Works doesn't really want to work on BlazBlue right now. They want to work on other things. That's fine. It's their company. They get to do whatever they want. You're literally talking out of your ass, because again, he's talking about the story. Like, and we already knew they were going to reboot BlazBlue at the end of CF. So it's like, if they ever make another 2D BlazBlue game, like if it references this game or whatever story-wise, it's not going to surprise me. But that nothing about, that's like saying, you know, when they made that Guilty Gear game, what was it, that like, they made that like hack and slash or whatever, it was like that, it was kind of like Dynasty Warriors, I can't even remember, it was so long ago. You know, that doesn't mean every game they're going to make from Guilty Gear from that point on is going to be in that genre and in that style. It's not. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, we're totally only making mobile games for BlazBlue now. Nothing that he said is like that. Like, and that's just such typical PR talk. You're never going to see a developer or a publisher for their own game try to downplay the importance of a new game they put out, right? They're obviously going to try to get BlazBlue people to play this game because they want to make money. So saying things like, oh yeah, this, you know, this is like where the story's at, and you know, this is blah blah blah. Of course they're going to say it. They're not going to like, oh yeah, guys, this is just a side game developed by a different company, which it is. That's a fact. They're not gonna highlight that it's being developed by a different company, and they're not gonna say, oh yeah, we have plans to make another 2D fighting game in 3 years from now. They're not gonna say that. That's fucking PR disaster. Like that's you literally don't do that as a company, because that gets a lot of people like, oh yeah, I don't need to play this then, and I can just wait and play that other thing later. Like, no one's gonna do that. Like, people are going to try to hype whatever, you know, game they're publishing or developing and try to make it seem as important as possible to get people to play the damn thing. And again, Arc System Works blatantly, now they may fail at this miserably, but they blatantly want to get in the mobile gaming sphere because there's a lot of money in it. Obviously, most companies want to get in, have a mobile version of their IPs nowadays because, you know, money talks. But, you know, they were going to get into the mobile sphere one way or the other. If they didn't do it with BlazBlue, they're doing it with something else. And if the game does badly, you know, it wouldn't matter, right? And whatever they're going to do with BlazBlue in the future, I don't think is going to be affected by this thing. It's just like if they made a Guilty Gear mobile game and it did really bad, it's not like they're going to not make more Guilty Gear fighting games, because the Guilty Gear fighting games aren't doing bad. Now, if one of the Guilty Gear fighting games did bad, then you might have a problem. But you know, that hasn't happened yet, so. I mean, there's no way they're making a new BlazBlue fighting game anytime soon. There's just no way. Now, you know, sure, maybe they would announce something well in advance, because sometimes, you know, developers do that. But with Guilty Gear getting ready to come out, it doesn't make any sense to like, oh yeah, we're about to make another BlazBlue game. Like, you're just killing your own hype at that point. The one way I could see them maybe, it's kind of like with, what was it, Diablo? Remember when they announced the mobile game and everyone hated that? And then, you know, so they announced Diablo 4, obviously way ahead of when they wanted to, right? They had nothing to show for Diablo 4. It was obviously not even close to completion. And here we are, like what? That was like over a year ago, or maybe it was kind of like 2 years ago now? And we haven't heard anything else about Diablo 4, right? They announced that super early as a way to like, you know, calm people the fuck down, but they were always planning on making Diablo 4, right? It just wasn't in a state where they wanted to announce it, and they announced it early just to, and Diablo, what was it, Diablo Immortal, that's the thing, they handled that so badly, I don't think anyone would have even cared about there being a, because again, Diablo Immortal is the same thing I'm talking with BlazBlue. Diablo Immortal is not taking development time away from Diablo 4 because it's being made by a different company. Blizzard was always going to make a mobile game, and they were always going to make Diablo 4, and then people literally getting mad at Diablo Immortal, acting like that it's taking away from Diablo 4 is just stupid, right? Now, from a PR perspective, Blizzard handled it very poorly. What they should have done was they should never have announced Immortal until they had announced 4. Right? What they should have done was whenever 4 was in a state where they were like, yeah, we can show this off now, they should have shown it off, and on the side, like, oh yeah, and we also are making this mobile game on the side, right? And then people are like, oh yeah, well, I can just not play that if I don't care, or like, oh yeah, I can play that when I'm on the toilet or whatever, right? Then it, you know, from a PR perspective, that would have been fine, but they didn't do that. They did it the other way around, and people lost their minds because they didn't think a Diablo 4 was even being made, even though it already was being made, but and we kind of already knew that. But it's the same thing, like, surely Blizzard handled that situation very poorly, and they kind of deserved the bad PR that they got. But a lot of the fan reaction was just juvenile and stupid because, again, Diablo Immortal is being made by a completely different developer. Blizzard is obviously going to try to get into the mobile space one way or the other. You know, it doesn't matter if it was Diablo, Warcraft, what's their other, StarCraft. It didn't matter what IP the mobile game was, right? They were going to make a mobile game anyway, and they were probably going to work with a different developer anyways. And Diablo 4 was going to be made, you know, several years later anyway. None of those things are going to change based on Diablo Immortal, right? And it's the same thing with BlazBlue, especially with, you know, if this game was being fully developed by Arc System Works and Arc System Works alone, then maybe that would take away development time from their other projects. But because it's not, it's kind of obvious that that's not the case. Yeah, making it the main event was really stupid, and that's because they didn't have anything to show that year. And what I think it was really dumb about them showing Diablo Immortal when they did was Diablo Immortal wasn't even that close to being released, because unless I'm mistaken, I don't think it's even released now. And that was like, what, 3 years ago? Or 2 years ago? Right, it's just silly. So I think what happened with that, was it BlizzCon, that's what they call it? They basically did not have enough stuff to actually justify having a convention, right? They just didn't. But they wanted to have a convention, and so they tried to, you know, make Diablo Immortal like a big thing and everything when they didn't have anything else to show, and that was just a really big mistake, right? They probably shouldn't have even had BlizzCon that year, because if you don't have enough stuff to show, don't worry about it and just wait until next year and show even more stuff, right? Like, they should have just waited. Like, I really think Blizzard could have done the exact same decisions, but just announced it in a better way, and the PR reception would have been a million times better. Even though, like, the development costs would have been the same, you know, the release schedule would have been the same, all that stuff. Yeah, Blizzard is not a well-run company. It really is not. So one issue I really see with this combat system is because you can always use any card from any character, you are so incentivized to just click the ones that are counterclassing. Now, I guess if once you have more characters, you're probably going to bring a full roster that's counterclassing. And if you're fighting like 2 different enemy types, right? When you're fighting enemy X, you'll go with those characters. Then you're fighting enemy Y, you go with those other characters. I mean, that's fine. It's just especially when at this point in the game, where the game is a lot easier, you don't even care. And I will say, like in FGO, it's not like it's any better, right? When you're in Fuyuki and Orleans, you literally tap screen, kill everything, right? It's no big deal. But at least in FGO, it's kind of early on. You get a few bosses that have enough health and whatnot, where it does pay to start paying attention to how the chains work and that kind of thing. Where so far, nothing has incentivized me to care at all about what cards I'm picking outside of just counterclassing. Yeah, Activision is pretty. It literally is no Blizzard anymore. Like it's like a skin. It's like a surface level thing. You know, Blizzard pretty much is just Activision now. Yeah, the Demon Pillar can make you actually care about what you're doing. Hector can make you care about what you're doing. It kind of falls off after that, though. I mean, the early game in FGO definitely needs a facelift, in my opinion. I think that's one of the best things FGO could do to stay relevant and to keep, like, you know, new players interested in stuff, is make, you know, get people having a good gameplay experience pretty quickly. Allow them to get, you know, a decent roster of characters easily. Like, this is the thing, right? To have any depth in FGO, you're going to need to have enough, like, they can't throw a super hard boss at you when they're not sure you have a good roster yet. That's the thing. It's like, if this calls for having good defensive servants and then a good, like, maybe Rider DPS, a lot of people, if it's early game, won't have a Rider DPS yet and enough defensive servants, right? So you can't do anything too crazy too early, but that's why you want to have better systems to allow people to unlock, like, the low rarity servants faster and to get Ascension mats faster. And like the easy way to do that is when you beat a main story stage in FGO, they should drop more Ascension mats and they should drop more XP cards so you can just level up and get your characters going from the get-go. And you might say, well, then you're going to over-level the bosses. If you're giving characters more level up stuff quicker, you're going to make the bosses easier. That's why then you make the bosses harder. You go back and you facelift your early content to, you know, actually have some gimmicks, add a couple of break bars, add a couple of, you know, stage gimmicks here and there, and then make their stats higher, and then allow new players to get a nice roster of characters quicker, and have enough XP on hand where they're like, okay, I clearly need to have a single target rider for this boss. Hey, look, I can just level Ushi or whatever, right? That would, I think, really help FGO's early game out. I hate this other characters not being able to do some distortions, though. That is just, like, infuriating. Wait, that doesn't link. So what the hell links with the distortion drive? Does anything? I guess, I wonder if you just put it at the end then. Let's see. But that doesn't link. I want to see if there's something that links with that. I wish I had one of each card type so I could see better. Yeah, it looks like it's... I wonder if it only links with other distortion drives. I wish I had a special because then I could tell off that. Okay, I'm gonna save the special card that I just got. I will say, okay, this, if you have much harder content, there is some really cool shit you can do here. Because, for example, let's say you know down the line you're gonna want Bullet's special card, but you don't want to use it this turn, right? So I could be like, okay, I need to, for this next one, because special is next, I'm gonna use Bullet's card so she gets the special one, and I can just save it. Now I just don't use Bullet cards anymore until the turn comes up. That's cool. Some of these ideas are totally fine, but unless they have interesting bosses, and I don't even know because I can't read Japanese and I don't know the game well enough. I don't know if the different special cards and stuff actually matter enough. Like in FGO, if you could pocket like a Lubu Buster card, that's actually huge. If you could pocket a Lubu Buster card and hold on to it for a few turns, for that turn that's really important, that would be very impactful, and that would allow you like that because. That you could really set up some stuff around that in boss fights, like very much so. But I have no idea if that would even matter in this game. But I that is cool that you can do that. I do like that. But yeah, I need to see harder content to tell if that would even, you know, mean anything. All right, let's see if I can figure out what the hell links with distortion, if anything does. So if you do special, distortion does link to special. Okay, so that's a thing. Interesting. I wonder if that's why special doesn't go like if it's 1, 2, 3. If special is 3, and why it doesn't go around to 1 is because it goes to distortion. So distortion is like 4. So as far as I can tell, Revolver builds up this gauge right here in the corner, the overdrive, and then at 50 and 100%, it lets you use way more cards in a turn. I don't know what the fuck special does. I have literally no idea. Drive builds up your essentially your NP gauge. I'm assuming you know FGO. It essentially builds up your NP gauge. And then the different card types like link to each other. I think it goes Revolver to Drive to Special. I'm pretty sure, but Special doesn't go around for some reason. But so honestly, I like that system just fine. This is totally fine. It's just Jesus Christ, I need bosses to be worth a damn. And then another thing that's going to really matter is like, can the skills that the characters have here be impactful enough to actually have strategies? Because that's the thing. And FGO, very much so. The different character abilities have so much impact on your gameplay, on like how much damage you do, how much survivability you have, who gets NP'd, who doesn't. You know, it's normal card damage, NP, those very impactful. I have no idea if these skills are going to be half as impactful, because right now, so far, they seem to be mostly just generic damage ups, right? We saw some with the heal, but like I don't know if you're going to have things like evade, things like taunt, you know, defense up for the team. I should start using other characters and look around. I mean, I can't even tell if characters are going to have more than one skill. It kind of looks like the characters are only going to have one skill, and I think that's a huge mistake, because that's going to limit your abilities for like synergy and like, oh man, this boss hits super hard, so I should bring you know, a character with a defense up and maybe a taunt, right? If you don't have those kinds of options, that's going to really limit your... Because really, in a turn-based game like this, it's not too hard to have some, you know, pretty interesting, you know, planning that you can do in them. But yeah, if they don't give you interesting abilities that have a dramatic effect on like what the AI does to you, then it's not going to matter too much. I think like this is just like a 3-turn attack up. So far, most of the abilities are just really straightforward. I haven't seen anything like defense up and whatnot, but I've barely used any of the characters, so I'll have to do that in a second here and see like what other stuff they have. Okay, let's see. I wish you could use that and then use the overdrive, but you can't. That's cool. I like that though, how you can kind of manipulate the thing to go into like a good chain for like the right stuff, especially with your distortion. That's really neat, but my god, is the stuff we're fighting not neat. Alright, let's start bringing some other characters just to kind of take a peek at different skills. So is the max level, I guess your max level is 11 until you ascend them. I wonder how hard it's going to be to ascend them. Okay, let's bring some different units and see what kind of abilities we got. We know that one character had a heal. See, that's why I'm like, I hope the characters have more than one skill, because if like that character had a heal and like a team-wide defense up, it's like, okay, that will actually really affect our team's ability to survive, right? Okay, I'm a little worried that if I switch, this is like level 12, I'm kind of worried that if I use some of the characters I haven't used yet, they'll be too weak and they'll just die. So I should probably bring like one new character at a time. Okay, so she was the heal one. Oh, I see. They even tell you. They have like a type. I guess that's their... Oh, so it has to do with their counter class, right? But so like, obviously the shield ones are like way tankier and whatnot, and the heart one is support. Let's bring... So you got green fist, purple fist. I assume there's blue fist, right? So it's basically roll and then your counter class type thing. All right, we'll bring that one because I don't know what... That's like the only one of that symbol I have, so we'll see what that does. Wow, Bullet only has 2,000 health, Jesus. Can I give her a craft essence now? My team cost is slightly higher. I wish I knew what any of these did. I remember that thing for... Dude, fuck Kokonoe, by the way. Remember that thing was in Lambda's story, right? And it was like her pet. And then Kokonoe kills it just cuz, and erases her memories. Like, God, Kokonoe is the worst. It's weird that she's popular, because I think she's like such a bad fucking person through all of BlazBlue. She's awful. Well, so far this game has some interesting mechanics that, if the game was hard, would be pretty cool. But so far the game is so easy that and literally none of it matters. So here's how I feel about it. It's like a lot like FGO, but it's really easy. But you know, FGO is also really easy in the early game too. So it's just gonna be completely up to, does it make any bosses worth the fuck or not? So these are all green. You can see their colors are all green. So I brought 3 blues, which I looked, is blue, okay, blue is actually not being countered by green, and they're neutral, apparently. Normally green counters blue, that's so common in these kinds of games, and then red counters green. But it doesn't look like that's what's happening. It looks like green and blue are neutral. Okay, so what's her skill? It is 20%, it looks like, I swear to God, this looks like it's like a 20% damage up for 1 turn. How, like, almost everyone has an ability like that. Now, it could be like 20% revolver up only, or distortion up only, or whatever. I don't know what it is specifically. But so many of the skills have been like that only. I mean, being someone's kid isn't really all that epic in my opinion, because it's like I didn't pick my parents, right? I just happened to be born to the parents I have, right? Now, obviously, you can have like a really cool parent, and then like the kid is more likely to be awesome too, but I would say that didn't really happen, because Jubei is pretty cool, but I think Kokonoe is kind of one of my least favorite characters in BlazBlue, I'd actually say. Pretty, first of all, I don't really like her design, and she's not awesome at all. She's pretty dull, and then she's also a really bad person. And like, and this is what I really don't like about Kokonoe. Like, for example, Hazuma is a really bad person, right? But he's a villain, and what you expect out of a villain is very different. And also Hazuma's pretty, you know, comical. I don't know if that's quite the right way to put it, but sinister, right? And so what you're looking for out of that kind of character is different than what the game tries to make you like Kokonoe all the time, right? They try to portray her as kind of the edgy good guy, right? She's not so goody two-shoes like everyone else, but oh, deep down she's a good guy, blah, 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 blah. But she's just a piece of shit. And thankfully there's some characters that say that about her, which is nice. But anyway, yeah, the game wants you to like see her as a protagonist at the end of the day, where they don't want you to see like Azrael. You're not supposed to see Azrael as a good guy at the end of the day. Because like when Hazuma screws people over, that's kind of what you want a bad guy to do, right? Also, Hazuma's just cool, where I don't think Kokonoe is even remotely cool, so... I don't know what I'll do today. We'll see. I want to play a chunk of this and see what we can get done. I want to see if we can find any bosses, for God's sakes. But I really think, especially what Cairo said, the early game of this game is just like FGO, is going to be super boring and really... So if I might play this more off-stream to try to get to to see if they're, you know, the bosses ever get any good. But I don't know. There's nothing to really do in FGO today. So if I play something else, it would probably be like XCOM or something, because I mean, literally nothing is going on in FGO right now. Yeah, gameplay-wise, Kokonoe was so broken. She was so broken it was boring. I hate top-tier characters like that because they just do everything and they have like no weaknesses. BlazBlue had some real problems with that, especially in some of the earlier versions. I remember it was what, Continuum Shift 2, like Noelle and Makoto. That was the worst meta of all time. Because basically Makoto could kill you if she touched you twice. I'm not exaggerating. Literally, if she touched you twice, and as long as the player didn't drop their combo and stuff, she could kill you in 2 hits. And then after hitting you once, so after her first combo was over, she could put you at massive disadvantage, so she was very likely to get another hit. That was the boringest fucking meta for BlazBlue ever. And Noelle was pretty much the same way. That was awful. I think their meta got a bit better after that. But yeah, Kokonoe, when she first came out, was really bad for the game. She was about as bad as Makoto. She wasn't quite as bad as Makoto was back then, but it was close. I think CF is kind of terrible again. I think they got better for a while, but I do think CF had taught. Like, I think CF is totally fine at like mid levels of play, and I think they actually did a good job of kind of evening out the skill curve and making a lot of like the less viable characters a lot more viable at mid levels of play. Like it even like mid high. Like I think CF is totally fine at like mid level and mid high. But when you get really high levels of play in CF, it has a lot of this, like 9 and everything, right? It has a lot of the same problems that some of the older ones have had. So let's see. So special is the only thing that I know that links to distortion drive, and I guess nothing links off of distortion drive either. So maybe special does. But it is impossible for me to do a special attack this turn because my deck is all over. So there's no way to get anything out of that. I guess we just see blue, press blue here to get up the gauge and see if we can actually use that next turn. I don't really like battle cross tag, whatever the fuck it's called. The main issue I have with it is the control scheme and how simplified they made it. A lot of the stuff that makes me like BlazBlue does not exist in that game, and it feels so awkward to play. I feel like cross tag was designed to feel intuitive to play to people that have never played a fighting game. Like that's what it was aimed at, right? If you've never played a fighting game, you know, because they had the whole press the same button over and over to do different moves on its own, right? And all that kind of stuff. That all is, you know, easy to get into if you've never played a game before. But if you've played BlazBlue a lot, it was so awkward because you'd play Hazama and you'd want to click the buttons to do Hazama things, but they don't work at all. Instead, you need to just like mash the same button over and over. It was just so awkward. I really hated the control scheme in cross tag. That was a huge part of why I didn't like it. And they oversimplified things, right? There were a lot of the mechanics were watered down, and in some degree that's fine. I will be the first to admit there is a real arbitrary barrier to entry in fighting games that is not skill-based. People like to act like it's skill-based, but it's not. There is a huge barrier to entry into fighting games that is just practice until you memorize your combos over and over, literally hours of grinding to get the muscle memory down for your combos and stuff. That is not skill, right? Most of the skill comes from, you know, neutral. The neutral game, what decisions you make to do an overhead, a low, you know, how to mix up your opponent, you know, the mind games. There is some skill in like being able to hit confirm and tell, oh, he's blocking, so I need to not autopilot do my combo. Instead, I need to end this string in something safe. You know, like, so that's hit confirming, where if you notice, oh, hey, he didn't block, I'm actually punching him in the face right now, I can go into my combo and it's fine. And if it ends with something, you know, unsafe that knocks him down or whatever, no problem. Whereas like, oh, recognizing, oh, he's actually blocking, I'm not actually hitting him, I need to not do my combo, right? That's a skillful thing, very much so. But there's a huge arbitrary barrier to entry to a lot of fighting games where you just have to, you know, grind your ass off to you know, get good at your inputs and remember how to do every combo your character can do. And so I don't care if a fighting game lowers that. That's not the area that cross tag watered down that I have a problem with. I literally do not care if like the combo inputs are super easy, right? And you don't have to grind to memorize them. Not a problem. What I have a problem with, and this can be kind of tied to that other thing, is when like your options for the characters are a lot lower, so there's a lot less like things you can do at neutral. Also, when the inputs are so simple, you know, there's no hit confirming, checking if you've got a hit or if it was a block or a counter, right? Like none of that stuff. So, and then also for characters to be fun to play, a lot of times it's a really hard balance to find, right? So if you want, if you a lot of like the mechanical depth that like, makes Carl fun to play comes with how different of a character he is. His inputs, the inputs you're putting into the controller or the fight stick or whatever you're using to play Carl are so different from what you would do when you're playing Tager or Noelle or something. that's a very fun thing to learn and interact with, right? But there's obviously that barrier to entry for like memorizing your combos and stuff. So it's a hard balance to find. And yeah, that's another thing I don't like in BlazBlue. I gotta say, I love BlazBlue. I love BlazBlue to death. I love the universe. I love so many of the characters, and I have a lot of fun playing it. But there are some real problems with it. And I think Kyra was talking about this. This is a huge problem in BlazBlue, in my opinion. I think this is a massive fucking problem. And this is a problem that applies to other fighting games too. But certain characters are very hard to play, to like pick up and play and learn. So like mid-levels of play, you're gonna get destroyed because they're like really complicated characters to use. And then you have other characters that are unbelievably easy to use. And so like if you and your friend start playing and you're only at like low levels of play or maybe mid-levels of play, if your friend picks like Tager and you pick someone that's like way more technically demanding, you're gonna get destroyed even if you're better than him. And then, like what Kyra was saying, you might like Jin a lot. You might like, man, Jin's my favorite character. I love his skins, like his color palettes, and his moves look super cool. But he's so easy to play that it's boring, and it's really easy mode. And I'd rather play something more interesting. I bring that up because I know that happens to people, and I know like the opposite, where someone's like, you know, I don't have time to play this game for hours and hours every day, you know, so I can't figure out one of these more complicated characters. You know, that's like a lot harder to play, like Carl, for example. But I really like Carl. But, you know, I don't have the time to play it. Because they always say, literally, developers say this, and I've even seen Arc System Works say this. They intentionally make characters that are designed to be easier to pick up and to, like, you know, play if you're not super experienced in fighting games, and to give them well-rounded options. You know, Ragna and Jin are like that, where they're pretty easy to play. You can do pretty high damaging combos without having to, like, super memorize things. So these literally say they make characters like that on purpose, and that's pretty normal for fighting games to do that. And then they also make characters that are for like the veterans, are supposed to be really hard to play if you really want to sink your teeth into them and that kind of thing. The problem with that is when your favorite character doesn't line up with the playstyle that you want, right? That's not good. And that BlazBlue has very, in its credit, BlazBlue has these really awesome character designs with, you know, very different, you know, lots of variety in their characterization and their personalities and everything. So you might be like, oh wow, I really like this, you know, character, but then, you know, they're way more technical than what you want to, you know, get into, right? And then or the opposite, you might be like, oh, I really like Ragna, but oh my god, this is such a brain dead character. You know, I play fighting games all the time, and this is so vanilla and easy. I'd much rather play something else. That's really unfortunate for BlazBlue. And it also sucks, especially if you're, let's say you're maybe a medium-high level player, right? So you're pretty good at it, but you're not super hardcore. You don't like sit there and grind all the time. You don't, but you've played BlazBlue a good amount, right? You understand the matchups. You know like what the character's pros and cons are. You know how to use your character's inputs well. You know about punishing and block. You know these things, but you're not like amazing at the game. You're not like super high level of play. You know, you're not gonna always do your optimal combos. You know, certain characters you might really struggle to do their more technical inputs and stuff like that. So you're kind of in that mid-range, maybe a little above mid-range, but you know, you're confident, but you're nothing amazing, right? So if you're in that range, and then you play somebody that is maybe like low-high or mid-low, right? But they play a character that's super easy, but you play a character that's super hard, you're probably going to lose, even though you're better than that other person, and that can be really annoying. And BlazBlue has the reason it's a bigger problem with BlazBlue than I think a lot of other fighting games is because BlazBlue has a much bigger variance than most games. Like, for example, Tager, Iron Tager is not particularly good at high levels of play in most versions of BlazBlue. He's been okay in a few, but generally Tager has not been, you know, very good at like the really, really high levels of play outside of certain matchups. There's certain matchups that he's incredibly good at, but generally at high levels of play, Tager's not great. Because other characters, if they're played well, you know, they can zone him out, they can just take advantage of his lacking options and things like that, and, you know, it's death. But at, like, low levels of play, mid levels of play, and even mid-high levels of play, because Tager can do so much damage without you actually needing to know how to do any fucking combos, and most people are not going to know how to, like, you know, manipulate his weaknesses well enough and zone him out properly and everything. He will and I've seen this because I'm a big BlazBlue fan, and I get a lot of my friends into it. I have played with all levels of play. I played with really good players, bad players, new players. I've gotten like large groups of my friends to all pick it up at the same time and stuff. I've seen it a million times. I've seen a group of friends get into BlazBlue, and they're kind of each round they're picking a different character and trying to figure out who they like. It's the same shit every time. Right? You'll see someone pick like Hazuma, and then the other guy picks Tager, and Tager wins every fucking time, right? Even though at high levels of play, Hazuma can wreck Tager, most players are never going to get to that level of play, like not even close. Even if you're in mid levels of play, you know, Tager can just mash buttons and spin stick and win game. BlazBlue has way more variance with its skill to power. Like, the amount of skill you need to put in for the amount of power you're getting out of it is all over the place, right? There's a lot of characters in BlazBlue you can put in almost no skill and get out massive reward, right? And there's other characters where you have to put in an insane amount of skill to get, you know, any kind of reward out of them, you know. And at high levels of play, a lot of times it changes who's good and who's bad. But again, that's not such a tiny percentage of the player base gets to that point. Like, all fighting games have variance with this. All fighting games have like that noob character that's like you can mash one button and get way more done than you should, right? Almost all fighting games have that, but it's really pronounced in BlazBlue. Like it's massive. Like, what's her name? Mai or May? You know, oh my god, she could do like a 4K combo off of doing CCCC, right? Like, what? Like, it's just dumb, right? Like, you know, as long as you mastered the basics, like, for example, if you were playing her and all you really know how to do is, like, you know how to block, you know how to punish, you know how to, you know, not just, like, throw out shit that's unsafe. If you just learn that stuff, and then every time you know you can punish and stuff like that, you just mash the C button, you'll actually do pretty well. Even though you've not memorized anything, you're not that good at the character, you just know some like really basic fundamentals about fighting games, you'll do very well with her. Like, seriously, if you, let's say you and your friends you've played other fighting games, and you go into BlazBlue. None of you played BlazBlue before, but you played other fighting games. Or maybe some of you played fighting games and some of you have. If you pick May, I think her name's May, it might have been Mai, I don't remember. But if you pick May, and as long as you know basics of fighting games, you will probably whoop everyone's ass, because as long as you pay attention to the blocking and punishing stuff, you'll be fine. Where if you had picked, you know, Hazuma or Carl or something, not at all. You're gonna have no idea how to capitalize on that character and how to use them properly. You're gonna get your ass kicked, right? There's a lot of that in BlazBlue. Like, there's so much of that in BlazBlue. But it's a double-edged sword, because why some of those characters are so fun to play. You know, Carl is like nothing else, right? Very unique character. You know, the reason he's able to be such a unique character and be really fun like that, you know, is because the inputs are all over the place, and like the, you know, the skill to power on the characters is all over the place. So it's a good and bad thing. But there's some real problems with BlazBlue because of these things. By the way, that's why he made Terami so easy to play. It was so for Hazuma fans that weren't really good at the game. I'm so sure of that. Like, Terami is Hazuma for dummies, right? Even though a lot of times Hazuma, especially some of the older games, was super high tier and everything, so many people could not play him worth a fuck. And then Terami is so easy to play. Like, Terami is like, you know, you land combo, it can always go into distortion, and like the inputs are really simple and stuff like that. Like, seriously, Terami, even though Terami at high levels of play is actually normally pretty bad, because he is mixed. I haven't played BlazBlue in years, dude, but like, if I remember correctly, didn't Terami have no overheads? He had lows and grabs, but he had no overheads. So his mix-up game was trash. But you know, that at lower levels of play, mid levels of play, it doesn't matter that much. And you could do big combos with Terami, like with like 5 minutes of practice. Where with Hazuma, trying to get any damage off of him required a fuckloads of practice. Yeah, I remember he got an overhead in CF, but I think it was like Jin or something where he could only combo off it if he used Rapid or something, or Distortion. Like, I do remember in CF they added an overhead, but I may be mistaken because it's been a long time, but I'm pretty sure his overhead was kind of bad in CF unless you used meter. But yeah, the game before that, which was what, CP, he did not have an overhead at all, if I remember correctly. I never actually played CF that much because by the time CF came out, I was just older and I had more responsibilities, and I just didn't have as much time to play anymore. CP was the last one that I played a good amount. I've played a bit of CF, and I've watched other people play it loads. I've watched it fuckloads, but I haven't actually played it personally all that much, which is a shame because I actually like CF quite a bit. I like some of the, especially for mid levels of play, I liked a lot of the changes, and Susanoo is awesome. Like, who doesn't love Susanoo? That character was so popular, dude. I totally just, I just knocked my phone over, and my phone I had hooked up to my computer, right? So I was mirroring my phone onto my computer, and I just knocked my phone over, so, rip screen. Let's see if the game saves your progress in a stage here. I gotta whip out Samsung Dex again here. Give me a second. How to stream, by the way. But yeah, I've noticed that Susanoo is definitely one of the more well-received characters in terms of like his music, his voice acting, and all that. He was really, really popular. Is that the other 5-star? I heard there was 2 5-stars you could get out of the tutorial summon, and you were guaranteed to get one or the other. I heard it was Jin and someone named Y. Was that her? And apparently, I did not realize this when I was first playing this because I can't read Japanese. But you can re-roll the tutorial summon. Yeah, let me turn the sound down. You can re-roll the tutorial summon as many times as you want, and you can get either Jin or her like really easy. There we go. That's better. Okay, looks like it does not save your progress in the stage. I don't know if it took the AP or not. I couldn't tell with that. Yeah, you get like infinite rerolls, but there's only, I think all the low stars are in it, so you can kind of cherry pick whatever low stars you want to start with. But from what I understand, the only 2 5-stars is that Zwei character, which I think was who was on the loading screen there, but I'm not sure, and then Jin is what I've heard, but that I'm not sure about that. But yeah, it is cool that they let you reroll that easily. You could also reroll your account because you get that tutorial summon, but you do get a proper 10 summon right after doing the tutorial as well. So you can kind of do 2 rolls, and if you wanted to make a new account and keep going, you could do that. Okay, well, she does not have skills that are all that interesting. Let me see what this character does. I'm just trying to see if there's any interesting skills. Okay, this is still too loud. Hold on. Try that. That should be better. I don't even know how many low rarities are in the game, to be honest. I have no idea how big the cast is. So, this song right here is awesome. And as far as I'm aware, now this may have changed because they've used this song in every BlazBlue game at some point. But I remember when the early BlazBlue games were out, this song did not have a name. And I don't think it was even on the original soundtrack for Calamity Trigger. Actually, I know it wasn't because I have the soundtrack for Calamity Trigger. And so I'm not sure the song ever got, I don't know if it ever got an official name, because it was unreleased for a really long time, but they may have finally given this song a name at some point with like CF or something. But it's fun. I've used this song because dude, seriously, for my FGO videos, because the song was not officially on any soundtracks at the time, I went into BlazBlue and I turned all the sound effects off and the voice off, and I just recorded the song from the game, and then I used that song in the FGO video. And then people would ask me what the soundtrack was, like what the name of the song was, and it's like, as far as I'm aware, this doesn't have a name, so good luck. Yeah, it plays several times. Like it plays when Noelle meets Hazuma in the second game and all that kind of. They've used it several times, but yeah, it didn't get an official name for. And as far as I know, it's never gotten an official name, but it might have gotten one since the beginning of the game. But go spill it, or Mother will, man. But yeah, because that song is so hard to find. Like if you look on YouTube or SoundCloud or whatever, you try to find that song, it is very difficult to do that. Let's see. I still don't really understand what Special does outside of being able to link to distortion drives. I don't know what the purpose of them is. Oh, I forgot to look at her skill, which was the whole reason I brought her. I really like this guy. I hope he has a good personality, because even if the game sucks, it's nice to have cool characters to check out and stuff. And I really liked his design because it's like simple but not too simple. That's always a nice like area to be in. And he's green, right? So, and I always like big dudes that punch things. So I like him quite a bit. Definitely my favorite new character so far. Although I have barely seen any new characters, so that doesn't mean a whole lot. My God, I swear every character just has like some kind of generic damage up outside of that one character who had the what do you call it? The heal, the targeted heal. That was the only one that. So as far as I can tell, like the only reason you would use Mama Murakumo here for a revolver card, the only reason you would do it is if she was counterclassing or something, or she was the only one that had a revolver, right? If you're trying to build up your overdrive. Where like an F-Go, right, using an art card on a unit is good to just give that unit their gain. Where this game, the special gauge is just, you know, all characters share it. So there's no reason to use someone that's not counterclassing or whatever, or has a higher attack stat, you know, whatever the thing is. Which is a little unfortunate, especially because all of the animations are the same for the character if they use the same card type. So, you know, if you do 3 Jin revolvers, that's going to look really stupid. I guess that's not entirely true, though. There is a reason to use a card on someone, and that's to, like, pocket the next card, right? If you see, oh, I know later I'm going to want Mama Murakumo's special card, and it's the next thing in the wheel, so I should use her revolver just to get it. Like, there is that. Give everybody a drive. Wait, can I give Jin a drive here? Let's see if I can manipulate this. No, there's that one revolver there. Yeah, I would need someone else to already have a drive, which they don't have. Seriously, because only certain cards combo together, like, card counting would be huge in this game, because you can see what's coming up. So planning out, okay, I'm going to want to make sure I have a revolver to go into a drive, to go into a special and stuff like that. Like, planning ahead so who you give what card to who could be pretty big. It's just, this game needs hard bosses then, right? Like, seriously, there's some pretty interesting stuff you could do in this game if it mattered, but so far none of it matters. Like, trying to plan out, oh, okay, you know, I see that special card's coming up, I want to make sure that special card goes to Jin, and then blah, and I need to make sure that I've got someone with a drive. Wait, isn't drive goes into special, right? I may be wrong, but so I need to make sure someone else has a drive, so I need to pocket that, right? Like, that's pretty cool, but so far none of the content seems hard enough to try to get you to do that kind of thing, like, not in the slightest. Really, all you do right now is like, okay, this counter classes, so just use thing that counter classes and try to link as best you can, and if you can't, whatever, right? Like, that's pretty much what it is right now, which does not seem ideal. Yeah, really, all I can say is, just like F-Go, if this game will be engaging for me and will be good, it completely comes down to will there be difficult content. The one thing that worries me, though, is the skills. I'm not really sure the skills have the potential to have, like, team setups that are... Because, dude, the variety in... Like, anyone that plays F-Go, like, on a serious capacity and, like, really cares about the challenge quests and stuff knows what I'm talking about. Like, for example, let's say you watch someone's video. Alright, let's say you've done a challenge quest, and then you watch my video, or Ace of Hearts, or some whales, or whatever, anybody. You just watch someone do it. And then you look at their team setup before the fight even starts. If you're familiar with the challenge quest, you know, like, what the gimmicks are, and you kind of know, it's, oh yeah, this boss has huge crit damage or whatever, and then you see what units they're bringing, you can almost immediately say, oh, I see, they're kind of going for this thing. They're going to protect this unit with those units, and they're going to go for the normal cards, or they're going to go for, you know, NP looping, or they're going to go for, like, taunt walls, or, you know, it's really got that variety, and you know, a lot of team building options, and so you can so easily see what people are going for. So far in this, because the skills are so, like, just, lol, I have an attack up, I don't really see where you could have that kind of team building variety. It seems like the only thing that would really matter is, like, the character type and then the color. Now, that I may be totally wrong, because to be fair, if I tried to judge F-Go, like, right now, I think we're in the equivalent of, like, Orleans, right? And if I tried to judge, F-Go's, like, you know, team comboing, you know, team creation, you know, based off that, I would have no idea, right? Because when you're in Orleans, all your characters have one skill, you know, everything's super easy, but I am kind of worried that the characters in this game are only going to have one skill each. The way the UI is, the only way I could see them having another skill is if, like, they had a button, like, right below and right above it, I guess. But I can't see where they would put the skill if there was more than one, really. So I'm kind of worried that every character only has one skill, and you just you make that skill stronger, and that's it, right? That'd be kind of dumb. Man, I can give everyone a drive next turn if I wanted to. I don't know if that really means anything, but I could totally do that. But we'll do that. The thing is, the new characters in FGO having a quadrillion, effects per skill, that's not really what makes, the synergy a thing. It's not. A lot of team synergy can be accomplished with just the 1 to 3 stars that have very simplistic skills. It's like, oh yeah, this guy taunts and protects the Berserker, but then, you build up your NP, and then you use all these damage. It's like, you don't need complicated skills, and honestly, a lot of the complicated skills from new servants aren't actually complicated. It's that each skill does multiple things, but most of those things don't matter at the same time. So it's like, oh hey, if you're in this niche, you use this skill for this reason, and if you're in this other niche, use it for this other reason, right? They kind of make sure the skill is useful in almost any context, but a lot of times you're not going to get every effect out of the skill at the same time. Like, very much so. So it's more of FGO's way of, like, making sure, like, your niche skills have, like, a general use, even if that niche isn't coming up. That's why a lot of the skills have a lot of effects. Now, there's some exceptions. There really are some characters that have some ridiculous, convoluted effects and whatnot in FGO, but... Okay, so we need somebody special here. Let's try to be a little optimal just for the fun of it. Wait, we should do this then. So you need... The only way to combo into Distortion is special first, right? Okay. And then special is off of drive, I think. Just so much Jin, because Jin, like, it just worked out where Jin had the drive right spot there. Okay, so Distortion does go around, and it can link to a drive card then. Actually, it looks like Distortion, although only special lets you go into a Distortion, it looks like anything can go off of a Distortion. Maybe not special, but it looks like Revolver and Drive both chain off of it. I guess we're just gonna do all Jin cards here, fuck it. Man, I don't think he has Ice Car, I just realized, on any of his animations. That's a waste. In Overdrive, everything links? That's boring. Wow, that's boring. I don't like that at all. That is so boring. Because then all of the stuff you're caring about with the, special going into Distortion Drive and everything doesn't matter anymore. That's lame. I don't like that. Now, obviously, you can't overdrive that often. But that's really boring because when you have that many cards, when you do overdrive, obviously your turn is much larger than normal. That's when you could really dig in and be like, oh, well, hey, I can do this, link to this, and I held that card, so now I can do this, right? You can... That kills a lot of prep, right? You might be, okay, I'm going to hold on to Bullet special card so I know when I finally get around to using Jin's Distortion, I'm going to have someone's special card to go into it, right? And then I can do this. That's lame. I don't like that Overdrive works that way. That'd be so much more fun if it didn't work that way, in my opinion. Killing the fun, man. Killing the fun. At least this game has story replay, although I don't see a lot of reason to do it because none of these stages have been hard. I haven't even seen a boss yet. We literally have not even fought a boss yet. We've only fought, like a trash mob with more health. I'm guessing you have to beat like this whole chapter or something to get hard mode. And like we have a healer, but we've never actually fought something that would call for using a healer. So I see, yeah, the tanky boy's attack stat is so much lower than Bullet's, but then Bullet's health stat is just way lower. And then you have our 5-star, which is just way better at both. Although, I'll be interested to see, because you can upgrade these low stars to SS. Like, you can get them up to SS and things like that. So I want to see what are their stats like when they do get like that. I just so wish you could... I hate that you have to unlock your distortion for most characters. I hate that. Because I'd love to see what they look like and whatnot, but... Like, literally every distortion right now is Jin's. Much Revolver. Like, there's literally no reason for me not to do that, because Jin has the highest stats, he's counterclassing, and then every card in the deck was a Revolver, so... Boy, look at this amazing animation quality. Make 2 animations per card type, and it would be fine. Is Bang in the game? I swear, Bang's 3C. And Gobble, was it 2A? I remember, like, he had such a good 2A. My friend Tusk played Tager and Bang, pretty much. That was like all he played. Oh, and he played Relius and Carlson too, but he played a lot of Bang and Tager. Bang is in the game, or at least there's that. See blue, press blue. Well, like I said earlier, because people keep saying that this game in no way affects the development cycle of other games because it's being made by a different dev and everything. So it's like, this is... Yeah, I'm just so... It's like such a fundamental misunderstanding of the game industry that I see from people all the time. Where like people think Diablo Immortal slows down the development of Diablo 4, where it doesn't at all, right? And obviously, I'd be very happy to see a new proper BlazBlue game too, but I mean, this game has like no effect on that at all. Drive, drive, drive. I don't think we're gonna see a proper BlazBlue game for a while though. I think we will see one again, but obviously Guilty Gear is next, right? That's coming up really soon. And even if their next big fighting game was BlazBlue, it wouldn't be ready for a while anyway. But you know, they're also working on what are they working on? They're working on a game for another IP that I already forgot. What was it? So they did Grand Blue Fantasy, you know, Dragon Ball Z obviously, but they were doing another IP that I literally can't remember. Oh, it's Dungeon Fighter. Right, it was Dungeon Fighter, because actually it's funny, Dungeon Fighter is not that big in the States and in like Canada and everywhere, you know, North America, but in Asia and stuff, that's one of the largest games ever, right? It's actually one of the most profitable. A lot of people don't know this. Dungeon Fighter is one of the most profitable games that has ever existed. If you look up like the most profitable IPs that have ever existed, I think it's in the top 3. It's like just under Mario, for God's sakes. Like, it's crazy big IP globally, ultimately. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that was what they're making. So you might get Guilty Gear, then that Dungeon Fighter game, and then maybe they do a BlazBlue game. But I think it might be a while. I definitely think we're going to see a BlazBlue game though at some point. The big thing is, I suspect that if they want to make another BlazBlue game, they're going to want to update the sprites, and so they're basically going to have to reboot everything. And because, for example, if you just continued on, everyone's going to expect all of the playable characters from Central Fiction to be in the next game. But if they're going to redo the sprites, that's completely impossible. I mean, that's completely impossible. The amount of work that goes into each character when you do 2G sprites like that is so high that you know, the roster is going to shrink dramatically. So if they use a new game engine and all that kind of stuff, you know, it's going to take a long time for the roster to get big again. But that's just an unfortunate reality of like what happens. And see, if they don't update the game engine and they don't update the sprites, I honestly, and I hate to say this, but I don't think they're not really up to snuff anymore, right? BlazBlue sprites are really old, and I still like them, and you know, I care about, you know, the gameplay and like characters more than I care about the sprite quality. But because, you know, BlazBlue's really old now, if they release a new BlazBlue game and they were using the old sprites, I don't think it would work. And that's not fancy, that's not eye-catching, right? It's like, oh, it's just more of BlazBlue from back in the day, right? So I really think they're going to update the game engine, and they're going to have to, you know, start from scratch. And there's no world. It literally takes like 6 months to make a single BlazBlue character. right? From like beginning to end, right? And sometimes more than that, depending. Like in some fighting games, it takes like a year. It can seriously take up to a year to make one fucking character. Now, you might say, oh wow, 1 year for one character, but how do we have this many characters? And it's because obviously when the people that do the line work finish on Jin, they start working on the next character, start doing the line work for that, right? And then so someone else will do the other things, and then all that, and the effects and the coloring, you know. So different people are doing different things. So in practicality, the company can make more than one character in a year, obviously, or more than one character in 6 months. But each person, each like role for each character, you know, they can only do one at a time, and the total process for each character takes normally about 6 months or so. So if they have to use new sprites and everything, dear God, the cast is going to shrink dramatically, and then, you know, each new, you know, derivative game will add to the cast again. But yeah, BB tag, right? BlazBlue tag battle. They literally are using the sprites from the regular BlazBlue game, but yeah, I truly don't think the next BlazBlue game is going to use the same sprites. I don't care if they do, and if they do use the same sprites, that obviously means we can have a really big roster again. But I definitely expect, I think they're going to do one of two things. Well, actually, I guess 3 things. There is a chance that they would just use the same sprites, but I doubt that. But so they could use the same sprites again. The other thing they could do is they could do what they're doing with Guilty Gear, where they're actually using 3D character models. But because, you know, Arc System Works has got like pretty good technology for that, where they're using 3D character models, but they make them look 2D, and then like, they draw the faces on. Like literally, they make a 3D model, but the facial expressions are actually being, you know, 2D drawn on the faces, right? And so Guilty Gear looks a lot like a 2D game, even though it's not. It's actually using a 3D engine, but it looks like sprite work. It looks very similar to sprite work. And the reason they do that is because it is so much fucking easier to make characters like in the Guilty Gear game engine than it is for BlazBlue. It's not even close. Like 3D characters take a lot of work too. Like they really do. You know, you have to do a lot of stuff to make a 3D character for any video game. But it's not half as bad as making a two-dimensional sprite-based one, because you know, you literally have to redraw them every time they move, and that's insane. Where this game is using paper mache, right? This game is like trying to make it seem like they're using 2D sprites, which they kind of are, and they do redraw the character from time to time. But most of what this game is doing is paper mache. Save for FGO, and that doesn't take as much time. It still takes a lot of time, to be honest. Paper mache stuff still takes a fuckload of time too, but because you cannot do paper mache for everything. You have to redraw, you know, the character from time to time, and you know, literally having to redraw the character every time you need to change poses is a bit of a bitch. Anyway, so I could see them rebooting BlazBlue and using a similar game engine to Guilty Gear, so they can make characters a lot faster. Now, even in Guilty Gear can't snap their fingers and make 30 characters, right? Not at all. That's why Guilty Gear's doing the same thing. They rebooted Guilty Gear, and look how small the roster was. The first Guilty Gear game had a tiny roster, right? And then, you know, each game they've made, you know, since has added more characters, and they've gotten back up to a decent sized roster. But my God, I mean, still loads of characters from the original Guilty Gear games still aren't in the newer Guilty Gear games, and I suspect the same thing's going to happen to BlazBlue. And so what they'll probably do is, you know, they'll make sure they have their staples in there. You know, they'll have Jin and all that in the game, but a lot of characters just won't be in anymore. But what they'll do is, just like with Guilty Gear, is they're going to add a lot of new characters, because that gets people, you know, excited when you add new characters. So a lot of the few character slots you see, a chunk of them are going to go to brand new characters. So adding in, you know, some of those old characters might take a very long time. Same thing with Guilty Gear, right? A lot of the old characters aren't even in yet, because every time they make a new Guilty Gear game, they're adding in a couple of old characters and a couple of new characters, right? And so, yeah, it might be pretty rough for BlazBlue if they do reboot it that way, but I guess we'll just have to see. I don't know if chaining is worth using somebody that's being counterclassed, but I don't know how I feel about that new Guilty Gear game. Some of the gameplay decisions they've made are kind of odd, but we'll see. It could be good. I've never liked Guilty Gear nearly as much as BlazBlue. It's just I don't mind it. I've never disliked Guilty Gear, but they've literally almost no one in the entire cast of Guilty Gear I really like. I like Justice a lot, but she hasn't been playable in the reboot games. But like, you know, BlazBlue has a lot of characters. I'm like, yep, I could main this and I could, you know, play them for hours and hours and hours and hours because I really, really like the character. But there's just no one in Guilty Gear that I feel that way about, and that's a big part of why I don't really play Guilty Gear that much. But also mechanically, I've never liked Guilty Gear as much as BlazBlue. Although I do, you know, it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. That sucks. So you can do all this work here to get a special into that you combo into the special, and the special combos into distortion drive. But if you just do overdrive, it doesn't matter. That's really lame. That is so disappointing. Wait, Vikin's not in Strive? That sucks. Basically, Guilty Gear, there is loads of characters in Guilty Gear that I like, but there are almost no characters that I like super like, right? Like, there's hardly any characters that I like hate in Guilty Gear. They have some pretty, you know, fun designs and stuff, but there really are no characters I'm like, oh man, I really want to play that. Mash buttons! Hello, you can... There's nothing even stopping you from doing that. Like, what if you do overdrive, you have no reason not to just pick your strongest character. I should have done Jin if I was carrying, but like, if you have one character that has a higher attack stat and is counterclassing and you do overdrive, because everything combos, you have no reason to do anything but just mash Jin cards, right? If like right there, if I overdrive, there's literally no reason to ever do anything other than Jin cards. With the, I guess the slight exception of wanting to, you know, hold on to cards for other people. It's like, oh, I want that special for Bullet to use later, so I'll use her card so she gets it. That's the only reason you would ever do it. Man, I was wanting to get far enough, and all I wanted to do before like I stopped streaming this is I want to get far enough to just do like some hard mode. But I mean, this is just so much. I can't believe after all these stages we've never fought an actual boss. This is crazy. Like, we've been at this for a while, and that's pretty lame. I might bring her just to see if like the heal ever matters. Probably put her in the back, but I wonder, can you go like 2-2? I bet you can. Yeah, you can. So then it means they're more likely to attack Big Boy and Jin. I could not even begin to tell you what any of these do, but it says something about HP and 15%. I don't know, maybe you get 15% more healing or something. I wonder if that Tager one is defense based, because Tager's a tank. I wonder if this gives you like 8% defense or something. I also wonder how often this game will give out free rolls. That's something FGO does do a really good job with, and so does Epic 7 and whatnot. Oh my god, 3 out of 4 of my characters are being counterclassed. Well, time for Bullet to carry. Now imagine if she was actually doing a combo from BlazBlue instead of the same move over and over. Imagine how cool that would look. Wow, Jin just got totally shredded. Well, we can actually use our heal for once. I really wish she could get rid of these skill confirmations. See, give me harder stuff, game. I see potential here, but god, I don't think they're gonna use it. Okay, the comboing is not gonna go well on this turn, I don't think. You know what? Fuck it. I think we don't... I don't think we combo here. I think we just see bullet press bullet. blue beat right there. One of these days, I do need to play BlazBlue with my community, or just when some new fighting game comes out, everyone play at the same time. I tell you though, you know, I haven't really played a fighting game seriously in the last, like, God. When was, I guess, when was CP? That was probably God, was that like 8 years ago or something? Like, it's been a really long time. Now that I'm a lot older and I have less free time, I really suspect it's going to be very hard for me to get good at a fighting game ever again. Just because when you get older, those kinds of things get a lot tougher anyway. And then, I guess Revolver would be good here if I can get away with it. There's no way I'm going to get much Revolver in here. There we go, everyone drive. But anyway, yeah, I suspect that in the future, if I ever try to get serious about a fighting game again, it might not go so well. But it is what it is. All part of getting older. Honestly, I don't have any universal feelings about any of the characters in games. Like, I've played grapplers, I've played zoners, I've played, you know, rushdown, I've played every kind of character that's ever been in a fighting game. And I don't see any version of a character being cheap based on like their type. What's cheap is just the way they play. Like I remember, like a lot of the zoners in BlazBlue were stupid fucking hard to play, and like if they messed up once, the other person could just blow them up, and then you'd have like no, you know, defensive options or reversals or anything, and you would just die, right? I've seen so many fighting games where that's the case, and yet zoners get like all the hate, right? And I'm like, it just depends on the game. Like I've seen. Like, grapplers a lot of times suck, and like, they're terrible. But then sometimes grapplers can be really brainless, and you press one button, they do half your life, and then, you know, it's really obnoxious, right? So it's always a case-by-case basis. I honestly, I like every type of character, pretty much. There's no type of character in a fighting game that I inherently dislike. It's execution that I don't like, right? When a character's, like, way too easy to play, or they get too much reward off of, like, one thing. You know, that's the stuff that bothers me, but, like, you know, a lot of like the zoners and stuff that I've seen in fighting games, I don't have a problem with, because it's like you just got to play the mind game of trying to get close to them, and then you're at a huge advantage. And from my experience, more zoners than not, you know, now at high levels of play, a lot of times zoners can be really broken, but at like mid levels of play, more zoners than not, it's so easy for them to like just whiff one thing and then get blown up. It's so easy for that to happen. That, like, I remember when I first got into BlazBlue, I remember a lot of people playing zoners and stuff, and I was just destroying them because, you know, they'd mess up one time and then I would murder them, and I was like, oh, this is easy. Like, I had such an easy time in like CT and stuff, like murdering, you know, V13, you know, new. I remember everyone complained about her, but she was only a problem if the player was godly, right? And then if they're godly, they were probably going to murder me anyway, so what do I care? And then literally every other new on the planet would whiff like 5D, and I jumped over it, and then they're dead. And I'm like, well, that was easy. Like, I remember, dude, I remember just slaughtering news so much in CT, man, like all the time. Because everyone would hear that she's high tier, and everyone would try to play her, but none of them knew how to do anything, like with mind games, and you drop their combos and shit. It was just, well, time to mash buttons now. Dude, I remember getting into CT and hearing everyone complain about new and being like really worried every time I'd fight them, and then every time I fought them, I would just blow them the hell up. I was like, well, I don't know what everyone was so worried about. I will say though, V13 in CT at high levels of play just does way too much damage. It's not, it really isn't like her options. It's like, yeah, if she guesses correctly, she pretty much has an option for everything at long range, and so she can always keep you at long range. But the reason that's a problem is because how much damage she does, right? Because you're not going to guess right every time, of course not. You know, your opponent is obviously, they're going to be the one to guess right at some point. The problem was just the amount of reward that she got off of correct guesses, right? They're just stupid amount of damage off of just like a 5D. It's like, oh, this is dumb. And then certain characters just could never get in on her. Now, there were several characters that could get in on her quite easily, and then they would have had such advantage once they hit her once that they could pretty much just kill her. Like, I remember Jin got in on New in CT. It was so easy for him to kill her and stuff. But, like, Tager, if a New played well, Tager was not looking so good. And then they nerfed Nu into the ground. I remember in Continuum Shift, and, or it was Lambda, and she was just trash. What was so stupid is people. I remember people would always complain about Lambda because she was a zoner, but she sucked. She sucked so bad. She literally had to like 8 brain to beat anybody because she did no damage and her options were trash. And if anyone ever got close to her, she could never. I mean, literally, your opponent would have to mess up so much for Lambda to ever get to do anything ever again, right? Lambda was awful. She was such a bad character. If she beat you, it's because like she guessed correctly like 1 trillion times in a row and you fucking suck, right? She was such a bad character. I think they eventually buffed her so and then she was better, but I remember like the early iterations of her, she was so fucking bad. Like you did not need to be Einstein to be able to get on a Lambda, man. I should have saved that card there or whatever. These stages are so boring, man. Like, see, I don't mind the combat system. I just need I need the content to make me care. I need the content to push me like, okay, I need to try to get optimal with my normal cards and use my skills at a time that makes sense. It is not doing that in the slightest. Oh, I say that, and I think one of my characters is about to die, so I should probably use my heal. I would have laughed if I lost this stage. I'm over here saying, "Hey, look, I'm being brainless, guys," and I lose. I'm like, okay, well, gonna ask for that one. To be fair, though, the only reason I potentially might lose, which I don't think I will, but is because I brought 3 characters that are being counterclassed, right? Like, kind of bad. I have no idea what you're saying, but I agree. Hey, Boy, how you doing? Thank God he hit Bullet. If I had known Bullet was the only one counterclassing, I should have put her in the front row. I want to get revolvers in just for the meter, but I mean, we're not going to get to 100%, so it doesn't matter. Literally what I do this turn does not matter, because I'm going to overdrive, and then everything links, so it doesn't matter. So it's just irrelevant. Like, literally doesn't matter. I mean, I know, I'm sure Poi followed. I was playing on zoners or just character types, but I don't think he's played BlazBlue much, so he doesn't know anything about Lambda and Nu and all those things. These are just random words. So can I literally just do a distortion drive and then yeah, anything combos with it now? You see, I have no reason to not mash bullet cards, right? Not at all. Now imagine if my Bullet could actually do her distortion drive. Wouldn't that have been cool? I think this would be so much more visually satisfying if they just had 2 animations per character. Like, I think it'd be totally fine then. Yeah, Jin didn't do that much. He did okay damage though, because he hit all 3. Like, he obviously did way less damage than Bullet, but because he hit all 3 of them, his total damage there was still kind of good. We'll have him do it again, although now he's only hitting 2 targets, so less likely. And I can't combo. Okay, hold up. Let's see if I can make. There's no specials coming up, so I can't get a special on Bullet. This is probably not worth it using all these Shin cards, and it doesn't combo. Nope. Okay, no. See, fuck thinking, just see Bullet, press Bullet. There was just no way to make that sync up in a way that didn't make me use a million Jin cards. Yeah, do a half animation update for every character. That's why though they're not going to do it, because they'd have to do it for every character if they wanted to add the extra animations. Because they'd have to make 3 more animations per character. Like, literally, that would be so much better, though, if they had done 3 extra animations per character. I really like some of the character designs, though. Yeah, we've been fighting a lot of the same color Alright, was that the end of the chapter? Any chance? No? Okay, still can't do hard mode. Alright, let me not bring 3 blue people. They're all purple again. You can see it. They're all purple again. Okay, let me mix this up a little bit here. We'll bring Tager. I think he'll be neutral or something. But my green guy. Do I even have other red people? I don't. I could use purple. What's the main character? The main character is purple. She's only level 4 though, Jesus. I guess Jin is worth it just because his stats are so good. Is it though? Like, how big is counterclassing in this game? Alright, I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's the other icon. Right. My other people are so low level now, I think they'll get shredded. I guess we'll go with this. I just hope this game gets hard, man. Like, games having, you know, you don't want unfair difficulty, that's always bad. But difficulty makes you have to actually think, right? Which is good. That's my favorite thing about Lost Belt 5-2 is it doesn't have filler stages, man. I wonder if the story in this game is good, though. Can't read it. Yeah, you get a free Noel. Oh yeah, I should have used my skills on that last turn, because it kind of mattered. It's starting to get a little bit harder, but not much. See, again, even though I have someone at neutral, there's no reason for me to not use bullet stuff. Unless I want to, you know, get my revolver stuff up. But I can get enough revolver for... Okay, you know what? We'll do... No, we'll do that. We'll do that. And then we'll do that. Okay. Get some revolver going here. But mostly bullet stuff. What the hell dictates critting, man? I wonder if it's just random. Whoa! Holy crap. So wait, Tager... Oh, because Tager, is he light or something? So Tager's being counterclassed too, so Tager actually wasn't a good pick here. Man, Jin just got absolutely deleted. Oh boy. You know, combo breaking allowing you to target switch would be cool. Now you can target switch just automatically, you know, it doesn't have any like nuance to it. But if it did, that'd be kind of interesting. Okay, I want a revolver spam, but there's no reason to use up bullet stuff. Although, I mean, you can always use bullet stuff whenever you want, so... I don't think it matters who does the revolver stuff. Unless I'm missing something, I don't think it's a thing. I mean, maybe different characters have different gain rates, I don't even know. Wait, I could have checked there, because they show you a preview. I should have done that. That would have been a great turn to check if there was some kind of... If different people had different gain rates. Let me see if I get... Yeah, here I can check again here. So, 37... Oh, no, it's already at that, so it'd go up to 37. Okay. Alright, and then if it's Jin, it's more. Okay, it does look like people have different gain rates then. Interesting. Let's see, if I did double Tager, right, it'd go to 43. It could be damage based too. But Jin is being counterclassed, so... 45... 43. That makes me think it's either damage based or it's different people have different gain rates, that kind of thing. I wanted her to get the special, so fuck it, might as well just see blue, press blue. Watch this same animation over and over again. Although I guess, to be fair, sometimes you see this kind of thing in fighting games too. There are some loops out there. Some decent music in this game, I'll give it that. I wonder if I could. Nah, I don't think I could save that, so. Damn, doesn't work the way I wanted it to. It depends. And from like the LOL standpoint, a lot of loops in fighting games are great. From a pure visual, like aesthetic standpoint, not so much. Although it depends. It really depends. Like Hazama do. Oh well, there we go. Hazama doing rapids to do his. God, what was the combo? His like the chain grab that was an anti-air, right? You could rapid that to like yeet them back and forth. That kind of shit's funny, right? It just depends. But okay, well, no more Jin. That's unfortunate there. Figure Taker won't kill it, so I'll get to hit it more times and build more meter. So if we don't have Jin, our distortion drive does nothing. We literally cannot use distortion drive if we don't have Jin, because this oh wait, no, the main character can too, that's right. Man, I really hope they make getting dupes easy, because that is so blech. This might have been one time that I could have gone to 100%, but oh well. Literally no reason not to do this. I do like some of the enemy designs though, they're pretty cool looking. The crabs, the shadow beasts, and these rock guys aren't so bad. Taker, no! So I need a special, but nobody has a special, so we're not gonna get the combo here. Oh well. That's not worth it. I'm getting so much value out of Bullet. Thankfully, I don't mind Bullet. She's not like my favorite BlazBlue character or anything, but I don't mind. She's fine. Like, but yeah, she's kind of been the most used unit by far here because she's counterclassing pretty much everything we've been fighting. Now, imagine if we could like use Bullet's, you know, distortion drive. I guess the servers are down right now. I guess they're in maintenance. Well, I guess that's it for the BlazBlue stream. I was really hoping to get to an actual boss fight worth a fuck, but we never got to a boss fight worth a fuck, so that's a little worrying. I'm gonna take a break. I may well come back with XCOM. I think we will do that. I haven't played XCOM in some time, and I'm in the mood. But I need to eat. I need to do a few real life things. So I'll probably be back in maybe 30 minutes to do some XCOM. But yeah, XCOM sounds pretty good right now. I don't know what to say about this game though. I mean, it's okay. It really just comes down to if they have hard content or not, and so far they absolutely do not. But thank you for hanging out. I'll play this a good chunk off stream to try to, you know, get a better feel for it. And if I see anything that like it kind of warrants showing off, I'll definitely stream it again. So we'll just see. You know, basically IP that I love to death, but the game is not. It's not like super grabbing me, but we will see. But thank you for hanging out, everybody. If you care to watch XCOM, I'll be streaming that in like 20-30 minutes. And for everyone else, thank you for hanging out. I will see you later. Peace.